That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, to the premiere of Shire Adventures. We are sponsored by Free League Publishing. Thank you to Free League for making it possible to do stuff like to produce the video that you just saw, done by Peripheral Mike. I think Mike has once again outdone himself. I love that video. It's exactly the feel that I was hoping for, and I think it fits very well for the tone of Shire Adventures. I'm excited, and I thank you to Mike, and thank you to Free League for sponsoring us, and also, of course, thanks to our very own Tari Tunes, because a lot of the art that you're going to see is going to be powerful and related to the campaign and amazing and awesome, and that is all courtesy of the amazing work done by Tari Tunes. If anyone has one of the original copies, which was actually reprinted of The Hobbit, you will recognize that blue and green drawing style, which is very much in the style of Professor Tolkien. Very excited for that as we get ready for Shire Adventures, the premiere of Shire Adventures as part of the Lord of the Rings role-playing 5th edition. Very excited to start these things up today. Before we get started, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on the channel. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, our Discord with !ArvCord, our Twitter with !ArvTweets, our website arvaneleron.com, and financially, of course, !ArvShop, which is, again, about to be under heavy construction, but you'll be able to get some stuff related to our campaigns there. !ArvTreon, that is the Patreon that allows me to pay for videos and things like that, although in this case it also was thanks to significant supplementing from Free League, so thank you again to them. But !ArvTreon is how we pay for everything else, so support to that is always much appreciated. You can get stuff for you and stuff for the channel more generally, as subscribing to the channel will help you do as well. You can get inspirations to help our players. You can get all kinds of stuff, including emotes to use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch, etc., etc. So that is always fun and useful for us, so please consider doing that. As always, on the publishing side, !Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. !Library is my Tales and Tomes, The Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and of course, Greyshade, my novel which came out last year from Athos Arts. That link will allow you to order that book and also pre-order Heretic, which is, Renegade, I always do that in reverse order. Renegade, which is coming out later this year. Heretic will be coming out next year. That'll be the conclusion of the Grey Assassin trilogy, and you'll be able to pre-order the Greyshade tabletop role-playing game coming later this year from Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Alley Entertainment, and the audiobook of Greyshade done by our very own Trent Sparks. So I'm excited for those. You will definitely want to check that out. Any support folks can give is very much appreciated on that score. And last but certainly not least, BLM, Black Lives Matter. Recent events will tell you again that it has never been more important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And Ukraine, the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate and devastating war. This is our chance to help them stand up and fight back in a small way, and to be able to support them as they go through that fight and send the message we will do so for others as well. Quick scheduling note, we are doing this tonight. As you know, this is a little bit of a different setup. Normally I stream earlier on Tuesdays, but today it's 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We will again be doing that next week, because Tuesday the 7th will be the second session of Shire Adventures, so definitely join us again next week at 5 p.m. for that. We will be off on Wednesday and Thursday, and then on Friday of this week, Sorcery will be back. Inkle's Sorcery for the Crown of Kings as we continue with that. I will talk much more about February's schedule, but I'm not going to do that today, although I do have a big ArvCon-related announcement, and I would appreciate it if people remind me at the end of the stream, after I've let the folks go from the players. Please remind me, somebody, that I need to do that so I can make that announcement. I'm ready to talk about what this big event that opens up ArvCon is going to be. So we're going to do that. It's going to be good times. That having been said, though, today I am very pleased to have the incredible crew of Shire Adventures returning. And so I have unmuted myself. I apologize to anyone I may have inadvertently interrupted over there. And now, for the first time, I am happy to bring you over to the brand new overlay of... That is right. You are looking at the overlay of the Lord of the Rings role playing, and you can see the crew is here. They're looking fresh, ready, excited, prepared. No other issues going on with anyone's life at all. But we are here, and I could not be more excited to have good friends, wonderful role players with us for this. And it does look awesome. And this is the work of Tari Toons. And I mean, everyone already knows how amazing Tari is, like as multiple things, including as an artist. But just like, man, like this is really, really great stuff. So thank you again publicly to Tari for being this awesome. And I am going to start. Now, part of what we're doing today, chat, it's a little bit of a mix because we are doing a little bit of character, more than a little, a decent amount of character creation, and then we'll do adventure stuff towards the end. But we are going to do some character creation first. That said, though, we have a basic understanding of these characters. And so with that said, as I introduce each player, I'm going to ask them to tell us a little bit about maybe just the publicly available information that you could get from just looking at a particular character that they are playing, and we'll sort of do it that way. So I will start with the person at the top left of the screen, which happens to be Amal Elmatar, who is with us. Amal, it is good to see you. You are here. It's just where you showed up on the screen. You can blame Tari.
What?
It's completely Tari's fault.
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. You are starting things off this time. So you are the lead.
Oh my goodness.
I think I went by alphabetical order or something. Like there was like some reason I sorted everybody like this, but yeah.
It makes sense. Great. So Amal, welcome. Happy New Year for the first time. Since I haven't seen you publicly on stream, so Happy New Year. How are you? And tell us just very little basics you want to tell us about the character you're playing.
I am okay. I'm exhausted. I've spent most of this month ill, like many people who I know.
Yeah.
So it's been not super great, but I'm here, and the character I'm playing is everything looks great. The overlay looks amazing. The art looks amazing, doesn't it? And stuff. The character I'm playing is Coriander Took, who is tiny and adorable. And she will took your heart. I think.
See what you did there.
You see what I did there?
You should do some writing, Amal, or something. I would
suggest. I think I'd be good at it.
Yeah.
I think I'd be okay at writing.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have some natural talent for it, maybe.
Thank you. Anyway, Coriander, she is related to someone else in this campaign. She is the granddaughter of Granny Lavender. She's small, rambunctious, gets into a lot of trouble, just has a keen sense of to whom things ought to belong, and that doesn't necessarily align with the current reality of whom things belong to. So that's what I'm going to say.
Good. She is redistributing it, as it were. Perhaps
she's just giving things homes that ought to have them, that are different from the homes they might currently have.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. She's freeing them really from their environments otherwise. Well, we are going to talk more about what kind of character this is, chat, when we get into the character development. But awesome, Amal. I am super excited for that. And I am also excited for, I'm going to adjust Brad's cam a little bit because poor Brad is currently sitting behind his actual character. I just realized, like, he's so into it that you literally can't even tell the difference between him and the actual character. Yeah. I was just kind of like, what? I'm actually stuck. Okay, I will fix that. But that, of course, is Brad Bollier here, and we are here with Brad. And Brad too has a new character. That's much better. Okay, has a new character and some new awesomeness to share. So same question, Brad. How are you? As life in the universe with you? And again, Happy New Year publicly for the first time this year. And how are you doing? And who is, just basic about who this character is that you're playing?
I'm doing pretty good. I am dealing with the book that has on me, and I'm getting some.
Yeah, you're. I think it may be picking up your wrong mic because I'm not getting you very well.
I think what's happening, Brad, is that in Roll20, it now automatically puts a camera on you for some reason, which is very annoying. So if you go into Roll20, turn that off. And that should hopefully fix this. Because you're cutting out a bit.
And while we're doing that, let's talk about something that Brad was involved with. This is a book that finally showed up in the mail the other day, and I could not be happier. In fact, I forgot why I backed this, and it showed up, and I was like, what the hell is this book? I don't understand. And I started looking through it. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that guy. That's why I backed this. Right.
It's almost like Trent has some voice ability. I think you should get into this voice acting thing a bit, Trent, and narration. I think.
No.
Yeah, I think you have. You know, I think you could do all right. You could manage.
No.
You know.
Have you considered, Greg, having a mid-roll ad read by Tren? Because
Oh, not until just this second, but that's a great idea.
I just think we should do. I just think that
This
that
is brought to you by.
particular,
Yeah.
yeah, that particular voice that Tren just did is very good for that, and I think, for one, that we should hear more of it.
I totally agree with that. I have this image that in the middle of some like super tense moment, like, and the wolf was closing in, just be like, this seems like a good moment to discuss the books of the people on stream. Have you, yeah.
If you like wolves, you will wolf down this deal. Oh, sorry.
Oh man, you think the fur's flying in here? You should check out this book. Anyway, but it is always. Yeah. Oh, I was about to move on from Brad, and I realized Brad hadn't even introduced himself. We just had him figure out the mind. Sorry, let's try that again, Brad. Can we hear you now? Now I hear you not at all. Hear nothing.
So let's talk
Wouldn't
about...
be a stream without tech issues.
That's right. That's right. Nope.
I heard that.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Talk again.
So normally, 3.
I think what's happening is
Cutting out.
I think what's happening is Zoom is picking up not the right mic. I think Zoom is picking up maybe your webcam mic because it's cutting in and out. And
What I changed.
No. Let me tell you, on Roll20, it is still picking up your mic. So you turned the video off there, but the mic is still on. I think you have to actually disable it from like the top of the browser as opposed to if you look at if you're in, what am I using, Chrome, then at the top you have to like block the page from accessing your camera and microphone, or at least that's what I did, which I've never had to do before. I don't know why Roll20 is doing this. Extremely irritating.
Yeah.
And
it's a new. I opened up a new campaign because I didn't want to crowd more stuff into AIME. Nope.
And now
not hear
you're
you at all.
Yeah.
So that definitely means Zoom is not picking up your mic at all. Then. Bear with us, chat. Actually,
Yeah, 'cause
why don't I do this? While Brad is figuring that out, let me move on and have other folks introduce themselves because that makes sense. And then, Brad, when you feel like you have something, we'll slide back up to you, and we'll get it all done. So hang tight, Brad, chat, on figuring out who Brad is playing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in the meantime, we're going to talk to someone who is responsible for much of the art you're going to see in this stream. Someone was just a trifle inspired, chat, just a little. There was just a little, was kind of vaguely interested in this campaign, sort of. Was kind of like, yeah, it's all right, maybe just a bit, and produced this just incredible, this overwhelming, this feast of amazingness that you see in front of you. And that, of course, is Tari Toons. Tari, good to see you. I don't think, I guess I did see you because we did the Fighting Fantasy in January. So yes, I did see you. So I don't have to say Happy New Year to you again, but I do have to say hello and thank you yet again for this incredible art. And how are you doing? And please give us some of the very basics of your character too, please.
Well, a terrible New Year to you then.
Yeah, I don't have to wish you anything.
No, like I said, not my first time this year on the channel, but I've been anxiously awaiting this game. I've been slightly prepping with like making custom character sheets and decorating notebooks and stuff. I've been very much looking forward to this. As to my character, I'm playing Granny Lavender Hope Singer. I'm what you would call it, herbalist and apothecary. Apothecary
yeah.
from Hobbiton, and I cure all sorts of ailments, and everybody in town thinks I'm a little bit cuckoo. But that's all right, because
Right.
they can just shove off. So that's me. Hello.
I am super excited for Granny Lavender Hope Singer. Also, when referring by the first name, I should know this up front. Should it be Lavender that I'm referring to, or Granny? Like what's the sort of Granny sees this
Well,
or
you,
Lavender sees
dearie,
that?
can just call me Granny.
Granny. Okay, awesome. I am so excited to be able to have this. May be the oldest character that we've ever had in a campaign. I think. I don't know that I
Yes,
ever
and I'm
had.
the youngest person on stream, which makes it even funnier.
That's true.
So
I mean, listen, you didn't need to bring that part up, but it's fine. But awesome. I'm very excited. Thank you, Tari. All right, Brad, let's give this another shot. Let's see.
Brad had asked if he should drop Zoom and reconnect, which you could. If you do, the cameras get
Yeah,
screwed, but that's okay. He can fix it. That's what he does.
I can
around
fix
here.
it. That's fine. Yeah. Just do that, and then we'll
we
double
can
check on
rebuild him. We have the technology.
Yeah, go ahead and drop and reconnect, Brad, and then we'll go from there. All right, so bear with us for just a second. Older than Agatha and COS. True, although Agatha wasn't always old, right? Agatha had, unless
Most
Granny
people
Lavender,
aren't.
unless Granny is able to, become a young woman every other day or something, then it doesn't quite.
I was there, Gandalf, 3,000 years ago. That's how old I am. No.
I was there
Do
with the
not go
courage.
to the deep magic at me.
Which I was there when it was
That's
written.
what
I was just thinking about that. I
Yeah.
was thinking about that. Or I was thinking the other one would be like, I was there when the courage of men failed. It's just like, the courage of hobbits failed.
Which do you go with? You go with, the Lord of the Rings or Narnia? Which
Exactly.
code do you use at that point?
Both
Yep.
equally possible for this situation. All right,
Mhm.
Brad is coming back in. Everyone cross your fingers. It's going to work.
In the meantime, I can show the nonsense I've gotten into. I've
It's
made
not
an
going to
entire
show, though.
family tree.
But wait, though, Tara, it's not
yeah,
going to show
right.
anything. Don't waste it on a
Rearrange the.
broken away, because I need that.
I kind of want to study what happens with the windows because there's an amazing Mondrian sort of effect with the abstractness of where does my arm go when I put it at. Oh no, there we go. Now
Okay,
it's
see?
sort of.
That's fine. We'll fix this. Don't fear not.
Oh.
Just
Almost everybody's, please.
we'll get there.
A little jigsaw puzzle. Look at that.
It
It's
totally
like
is.
It's like the slidey
coriander.
puzzles that Arv hates.
The thing that I really don't like about it is I don't understand why I can't just switch it directly and it just literally changes those. Instead, it doesn't do that. Instead, it's just nope, we're gonna move that else somewhere randomly. Okay, so that's where that goes. That's almost right, except that.
No.
And that's right. Okay, good. Now we're set. Okay, now let's try this again. How are we feeling, Brad? No. Not hearing you. That arrow next to the microphone, if you click the little arrow next to the microphone in Zoom, it'll show you the different mic sources.
Any luck?
Ah,
Yay!
It's a Bradley.
Keep talking, though.
Yeah, can you hear me now? I'm
yep,
testing my mic. I am in Wisconsin.
Yep. You're good.
Sounds pretty good.
You're good. Woo! Saved.
I like you starting to share real details about where you are, and I was like, great. Now, could you just read us your credit card
Quick before it goes.
But anyway, go on.
Oh man, sorry about that, Brad. That happened, but we're all good. Everyone's fine here. How are you? So yes, how are you doing? How's life in the universe with you? And yes, can you give me the basics of your character, please?
Yeah, I was saying that I'm wrestling with this book that has exploded on me. That's slightly annoying, but a book takes what it takes in the end. But Trent brought up the King Must Fall. I have to give myself a little pat on the back for that. That was an idea I had forever ago, and I briefly considered trying to do an anthology myself along those lines, and decided I just didn't have the time and space to do it. So I gave it to Adrian Collins at Grimdark Magazine, and he did the whole Kickstarter and stuff, and got a nice little acknowledgement. I got a story in it for people who like the Shire series. It has the what may be the last novella set in that world. It's called The Last Days of Old Shire, and it covers a bit of one of the main characters, one of the kings, who plays sort of a mercurial role in the series. You know, we don't know what he's about in the beginning. We think he's evil. He turns out to be something else entirely. So it's a fun story. So do check that out if
Good
you're
stuff.
interested in that kind of milieu. A lot of medieval type stories about rulers who really have to stop being rulers by any means necessary.
It's really time for you to stop being a ruler
Yes.
now.
Can you just leave, please? No? Okay, well then.
Leave this mortal
End of
plane.
story.
Could you leave? Yeah, that's funny.
Hey, guess what?
yeah,
It's
I'm
March
playing-
15th.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Need to beware of those.
So I'm playing Caloran Cal Fallowhide, who is a distant cousin of sorts, nephew sort of person of Bolo Brastuk, and also a distant relation of Coriander and I'm forgetting Tari's character's name.
Lavender.
Granny.
Also, you're not a
Lavender.
distant relative of Coriander. You are her uncle.
Is that what I am?
According to my notes, you are her uncle.
I want you to know,
I forgot
chat.
that.
I want you to know in my notes, chat, you have no idea how long the parenthesis in which I'm like granddaughter of so, related to so. Like I'm just like, oh Christ, this is what happens when you run a
Wait.
Shire campaign. Like every Hobbit is like, well, that's my third cousin, once removed on my mother's side.
What happened here was that I had the frankly hubristic notion that I could just say that someone was a Took and related to Tari's character, and that we could just, you know, let it be. But Tari was like, no, where are we fitting them in the canon?
Yes,
And
exactly.
produced like family charts and was like, all right, well, it would make sense to put them here. And now as a consequence, Coriander has a lot more family than I expected. Also, Tari knows more about them than I do. So like which parent is the Took? I don't even remember. Which one is it?
That would be your dad, is the Took.
Yes.
Your mom is my kid.
All right,
My
so you're
eldest
my
daughter.
mom's mom, and that means Brad is which parent's sibling?
Your dad's brother.
Ah, okay, great. So the other two, so Granny and Brad's character are not related. Okay.
Well, yes, they
Except-
also are related.
What? What? What?
So they are.
I cannot wait to find the Hobbit as a part of this adventure and be like, from here springs all hobbits. Like well, I've just been down here at the end of Hobbit
So
End.
Caloran is. Oh, it just says that he's my second cousin once removed.
Okay.
I would need to check the other, but yeah, like basically there's like this whole, the entire canon Hobbit tree is basically a bunch of very knotted apart circles, basically. So,
So Arv, eventually you'll have to fold in the family tree into the intro video. You just kind of do like a little fade in, a little fade out.
I'll get right on that. I'll talk
so
to
like
Free
you
League
guys
about it.
remember the
We only
old
need 10
Took,
minutes for
right?
this video. Just 10. Just 10 minutes.
You guys remember the old Took, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's Bilbo's grandpa, right?
Right.
Okay, so all the Took people in this family are descended from him, and my character is descended from his sister. And that's how that all fits together. And then it like comes back together again at some point.
I will
Several
100%
generations down.
remember all of this. There's no question in my mind.
That's why I have it written down and put it in the Discord for everybody's.
So now
looking
we
up
have all
stuff.
of this. Actually, I think I misspelled your last name, Brad. Is it Falloh or Fallowh?
Oh,
Or
H.
W as I recall.
It is OH. It's not W. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't actually lie fallow. That's good. Which would be different.
Yeah, so Caloran is a messenger. I'm thinking he runs wherever he needs to run, but basically one of the more common ones is like bringing messages and packages to Bree and back, that sort of thing. He likely has a pony. He's young-ish. He's a curious sort. So I am curious to see what he gets up to.
Very,
and
very
trouble
cool.
he gets into.
I am also excited too. It's going to be great. Awesome. I remember him from his Hobbit mitzvah.
I will say too, he's also an aspiring cartographer. So like on his trips, he sort of takes time to map things out and stuff. So he's got a book of maps that he's kept. He collects other maps, that kind of stuff.
Hence that portrait, which is so great. I like that of him actually staring at a map. I love it.
Yeah.
And we're going to get lots of maps in this for sure. So definitely you will see more of that, chat. Also really awesome. Very excited for that and see how Cal gets up to things. And last but certainly not least, we have the one in this party non-Hobbit. And also playing the role of Scooby or Shaggy Doo. This is the picture, honestly, that when I saw this, I was just like, oh my God, it is the Scooby-Doo campaign. Like the expression and everything is just absolutely chef's kiss. It's so good.
But unlike other Scooby-Doo franchises or like spin-offs, ours actually has a dog, which we will come to later.
Okay, right. Who is related, incidentally, to Stone and 75 other dogs. No, anyway. So this is the amazing Tren Sparks, who will be responsible for narrating Grey Shade and many other books that you've heard and so on. But
if they've already heard it, why do I need to narrate?
Because they haven't heard it as only you can do it. That's my point. They've only heard me talk about it. They haven't heard it.
Oh, they heard you talk about it.
Totally different thing.
Heard of it, not heard it.
How are you doing, Tren? How's life with you? And who are you playing in this campaign in basic form?
First things first. Echo Alpha. Eberron can suck it. What?
Yeah,
I beg your pardon?
No attacking other campaigns for this game. Eberron's great too. Just very different.
No, that has to wait till next ArtCon, and then we can.
Then you can trash talk all you want as we raise money for charity. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. No, for real. Yeah.
It was like the one thing from chat that I locked onto. The cinematics going by. I'm like, oh yeah, I glance over at chat. It's like, Eberron can suck. Excuse me.
Yeah, because Trent knows if he doesn't do that, and one of them finds out, they'll be like, so you couldn't even say anything, huh? You just let that happen, right? Yeah. So there.
So I am playing some guy who I'm gonna have to look at the screen to remember what his name is. Titch Applebow. Yeah.
How could you forget Titch?
It's a very short name. It's easy to forget.
It's like Twitch, but with no W.
See, I've already had this flash forward, fantasy while I was laying in bed earlier today, being completely unable to sleep. That because I forgot that this was at 2 p.m. my time instead of 9 a.m. my time, and so I was like, okay, it's not just a question of me staying up later than normal. I have to stay up all night. Anyway, so I'm laying there and I'm like, what happens if we're playing and my character dies in the very first episode? It's like, what do? I need to have, a series of backups. I mean, if all these hobbits are going to be related to each other, I need to have a string of relatives, brothers and sisters who are ready to go. So
it's Mitch Applebow.
Right, exactly. Exactly right.
Mitch, Titch, Rich.
Which it's Fitchburg. Mitch Applebow.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Kitch.
Exactly.
Applebum.
They're all waiting back in
antiquing
Bree.
business.
And the black sheep of the family, Lich Applebow.
I was going to say
Lich
Mitch Applebow.
Applebow.
We don't talk much about
That's
Lich Applebow.
No. That's like his character when he gets revived as a villain.
Negatitch. Negatitch is Lich. That's what we're doing.
Oh, wow.
When he succumbs to shadow, he becomes Lich Applebow.
Yes!
It's
Sister,
it writes itself.
Brother and Lich and Witch.
Lich and Witch. That's true. Triffid suggests Snitch Applebow. And also, yeah.
And
Stitch! There's Snitch and then there's Stitch because you get it.
exactly. That's Granny's job. She stitches Titch up at the thing. That's all right. Titches get stitches. It's fine. So anyway, So what was I talking about? Right. So he is a man of Bree, and I figure because this takes place not long after our previous campaign, right?
In the ballpark, it actually is the spring. It takes place in the spring of 1360 by Shire reckoning, which is 2960 of the Third Age.
So what's going to happen is he's going to live long enough to go back to Bree and be an old man guarding the gate when these 9 riders on dark horses come through, knock the gate down, and crush him.
He's the guy in the film that holds up the lantern when they come through.
Four hobbits. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's
So we
super
know he has to live. It's like a story that's written in retrospective. You know the main character lives because he wouldn't be allowed to tell the story in past tense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
This is like a very extended version of How I Met Your Mother, where we don't actually know which one's telling the story until you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Mm.
So very, very exciting. As you can see, chat, this is a great crew, and I am very much looking forward to the tone and the feel of this. Is going to be great. And I should mention before we go any further, just a quick note to everyone that we are playing the Lord of the Rings role-playing system. Now, for those of you who don't know, we have been playing Adventures in Middle-earth, which was the system under Cubicle 7. Cubicle 7 no longer has the license. Free League got it. Free League released the One Ring, which is their second edition, which is their conversion of the One Ring that was held previously by Cubicle 7. And now they have moved on to this and have begun to release this in PDF form and to release some of these beta adventures and things like that. And I will go over the few of the changes. It's very similar in a lot of ways to Adventures in Middle-earth, as you might expect, but there are a few differences which I think are important. One in particular I really like, having to do with a new mechanic called fellowship points, and I'll talk a little bit about what fellowship points do when we get there. There's also some discussion. It sort of streamlines certain things. There are basically three portions of the adventure, and that is during a action phase that you play. You basically have combat, council, and journeys that take you from one to the other. And then we have the fellowship phase, and folks should already be familiar with that. But as was the case in the previous one, fellowship phases will be integrated with what happens in the action phases also. So there's that to keep in mind. But I'll talk about some of the differences when we get there. We are, however, going to be going through some character creation here as well. But I do want to encourage everybody to check out, because it is available now on DriveThruRPG, the Lord of the Rings rule set, role-playing rule set, which I think is really interesting. As is the case with a lot of creators, I think everyone is relieved that we can continue to say that it's 5th edition and not be freaked out about it. That was not 100% clear to anyone last week, so I'm glad that we are glad that we're all good about that now, and that we can keep it that way. It is a system that I think is quite robust and will allow us to sort of do other things. Also, I should mention that I'm planning for us to stay with these characters for a while. However, there may be an occasion later on, depending on the aspects that come out and what gets developed next, that we'll talk about under what circumstances like the adventure is going to proceed. At the beginning, this will start in the Shire, and much of the adventure early on is going to be taking place almost exclusively in the Shire. It's not that I want to say the adventure is lower stakes, but it's more an exploration of the Shire and the characters that are found there. If that's where we stay, I don't know. It may be that down the line things may ramp up a bit as our Hobbit's sort of strength ramps up as well, and abilities. We will see. But that's going to be part of the sort of feel and tone that we have for this as well. Hey, Shadowed, and yes, it is based on 5e rules, but again, modified for this system, and I think in some very interesting ways, as we'll talk about. So, with that said, I'm going to pull up the map so we can see the map as we do our dice rolling here. And once again, this is the amazing work of Tari Toons. You can see for yourself this incredible view. And first of all, the map is amazing. That's directly from the Lord of the Rings role-playing. But this incredible work with the tree and everything, it just... Oh, man, I cannot get over how good it looks. It just looks great. And you can see the portraits for everybody, exactly where they are. So, again, mad props to Tari Toons. This is why, by the way, you get a professional artist on your team. Like, Tari's a great role player, whatever. She's a friend. Really, it's because of the art. Okay, it's just the art. But anyway, it just is perfect. And I think, I forget who it was. It might have been Rudenel who said, oh, no, it was Emily. I'm sorry. Emily said this, and Emily's 100% right. Like, this entire experience is 100% made for Tari. Like, you get to role play in something and do the art for it and also do genealogy. And Tari's like, thank you. I will have all of that feast. Thank you. I will consume all of it. So this is what you see. The tokens you can see here are laid out in the show.
You guys don't know that
yet.
This, but like people on the like unofficial Lord of the Rings role playing and the One Ring Discord channel server, they know that I've also been working on illustrating an entire armorial just with all of the Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion heraldry.
Wow.
It's been so much work.
Just wild.
It's been so much fucking work. Kill me.
Yep. It's and the role playing too.
Oh.
Granny's about to steal the show. I'm not ready for it. No, I'm very ready for it. I'm excited to see all of this crew. All of them. I love all of these characters. They're going to be great. So, okay. So with all of that said, let us go through and actually do a little bit of design. I'm going to fire up just a little bit of music for us. Sort of appropriate music. I'm going to go to one of my old standbys. One of my favorites, which is Willow in the Light by Kevin MacLeod. Mostly because this always feels like, I don't know, light adventuring music. It's also way too loud. Come on. There we go. Much better. Much better. Okay. And once again, thank you to Free League for the funding that allowed us to get stuff like this overlay. I really do appreciate that. And I think it shows up as something which I think looks absolutely amazing as in terms of its picture. Okay. Now, I will leave this up to the players. We have... do any of you are close? I think probably Titch is close to being finished except for stats.
Yeah.
Is that fair? So I'm wondering if we should start with that and then work backwards in terms of development, because hopefully it'll help some of the other players that characters aren't as fully developed. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Titch. Titch is a man of Bree. Let's talk about what kind of a character he is, and then you can roll, do all the stats and all that kind of stuff. What kind of a character did you want to make him?
I was thinking about it for a while, and I was trying to figure out, I mean, Tawny was a scholar and not really a combat thing, so I kind of decided I wanted to go with a more combat focused character. And I figured, and literally that guy at the gate in Bree, when Sam and Frodo and everybody get there, that's one of my favorite characters in the film, because he's just going through his daily life. He's just stuck at this damned gate, and he gets crushed. And I'm like, wait, well, maybe he lived, so what if you've got 9 gigantic horses trampling on top of the gate? Maybe he lived, you don't know. No, he's dead. Anyway, so I thought, what would that guy be like earlier on in his life? And so I was like, okay, and we never know his name, I don't think, so I'm like, maybe that's Titch. And I didn't know Titch's name. I was like, what's a name for a good, and at this point we were talking in Discord about how tall our characters were, because Terry rightly said, oh, so you're going to be the tall one in the group again. And I'm like, okay, yeah. But,
only relatively.
Right. Because I found myself not wanting to play a hobbit for some reason. But I was like, okay, so he's just under 5 feet tall, like most of the men of Bree. And I'm like, but he's a gate guard. That is his background, which means that he's basically, he stands on top of the gate, and when people come in, he's like, "Who are you?" And how many walkers have you killed? No, that's The Last of Us. Never mind. No, it's not. It's never mind. Yeah, Walking Dead. Anyway, sort of that. So that gives him skill proficiencies for intimidation and perception, which makes sense because he's a gate guard. His job is to intimidate people and then
gate
perceive.
Warden. Let's be clear, gate warden. We want
gate warden.
Super dramatic. Yeah.
Right,
gate
but he's
warden.
a gate guard. He's like one of the youngest ones on the.
he's
on
like
the crew.
He's a gate ward, not a warden. He's not old.
Right, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But because he's a man of Bree, he also gets pipe weed lore. So if he sits around smoking his pipe for a while, he can give himself inspiration. I love it. It's great.
Freaking awesome.
But because of that, he has a skill called see through a brick wall in time, and I misread it as see through a brick wall in time, and I was like, why would that? What? That doesn't make any sense in the Lord of the Rings. Then I realized what it was. But
Gandalf says that of Butterbur actually, and says he can see through a wall in time, as they say in Bree. When he's basically saying Butterbur isn't a fool, even if he comes across that way. So.
But this gives him proficiency with insight. So
awesome.
Yeah, so he's got proficiency in insight, intimidation, and perception. And then I decided I'm going to make him a fighter. I was like, should I make him, the whatever the other one is that I didn't choose. But that's good. I decided to make him a captain. And I was like, okay, that basically makes him, just a regular old everyday fighter kind of thing. Doesn't have like, super special stuff for it. So, yes. So proficiency with all armor and shields. Yeah. But he's the low man on the totem pole for the gate warden, so he's only got hide armor. And it says choose two skills from animal handling, athletics, insight, intimidation, persuasion, and travel. I'm like, well, not travel. He doesn't go anywhere. He's a gate guard.
Not
you
yet.
know. Right. Yeah. But he doesn't have proficiency at it because he's never done it.
Right.
And, persuasion, that comes up later. But I'm like, okay, so I automatically get insight and intimidation because of the other two things. I get persuasion because there's something else later. I'm not going to do travel because he's never gone anywhere. So I'm like, okay, between animal handling and athletics, yeah, those are the two I'll pick. So I figure he's the new guy on the wall. He's like, they're like, oh, take this pony to the hostler. These people are going to go to the inn. You take care of their horses.
Yep.
And so he picks up animal handling from that, and athletics from climbing ladders up and down the walls all day long, watching, doing weapons training and stuff.
I love it. Actually, and but just before you go on, I just want to say one quick thing, which is I'm going to show on stream very quickly, chat, what they imagine as a captain. So I just want to point out, like, there's this, and then there's Trent's character. So look at this. It's like, oh, I am an epic, blah blah blah, and then there's Titch. who is she
is awesome though.
Oh no, for sure. I wonder if Titch imagines himself as this, but is actually Titch. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if, because Rudnell points out he might have lived when the doors went over him because people laying on nails, like maybe he was pushed into the mud. I had this image of Michael Caine coming over and being like, "What good are all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?" Like maybe he could lift it up.
I love that scene.
So that's the captain. But
you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Right. Another Michael Caine line. Nice.
Oh God, Michael Caine's so great. Anyway, so this is who Titch actually is. Okay, fair enough. I love all that.
He has proficiency with carpenter's tools because he's a carpenter. He's got to repair the wall sometimes, so that made sense. Pipes, that was a big thing. He has skill with making smoke rings and stuff, but he can't he can't blow sailing ships. He's not quite that good. But I started with one. Where does it say? With one. It's right there. Starting virtue. I was looking through the starting virtues, and I'm like, it's a cultural virtue. It makes more sense than one of the open virtues. And I see friendly and familiar. I'm like, okay. So since you started your adventures, he really hasn't yet. You have realized that your folks' custom of trading with foreigners may help you in your endeavors. Okay. Your nice manners and friendly demeanor easily gain sympathy for those you meet, and your ability to inquire about the doings of strangers without letting your curiosity get the better of you provides you with many opportunities to learn from those you meet along the way. All right. This increases my charisma score by 1. It increases our fellowship rating of the company by 1.
And I'll come back to that. That's important. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And my proficiency bonus is doubled when doing insight, which I already had proficiency on, so that gives me expertise on insight. And on an insight check I make, in addition, I have advantage on charisma persuasion checks. This is where persuasion comes into play when interacting with dwarves, elves, hobbits, and men other than the Dunedain.
So, which is like, and what I love about this is if you tie that together with the expression, like part of the insight is just always like, no, I've seen it. I'm telling you, I've seen it. Like the insight is partly just the constant paranoia of Titch being but somehow being likable, and that's why people, I assume, get along with him too, because of that friendly and familiar notice.
And for those of you who have seen the movie Labyrinth, which is available to watch on Netflix right now, there's a scene towards the end during the Goblin battle to get into the Goblin City, where Sir Didymus gets thrown off of Ambrosius, and Ambrosius is hiding. It's his dog that is his steed. And there's a scene where Ambrosius is shivering, and you can hear his armor rattling because he's trembling so much. I figure that's Titch at the start of a lot of fights. Yep. When he knows there's a fight coming up, he's very scared, but he has the courage to push through it. And when the fighting actually starts, he does what he needs to do, but it's that anticipation of the fight is what scares him the most.
Awesome. Really cool on all levels. And this will be a time they're going to have to get used to. I have this image of all the party members being like, okay, so can Titch Titch can't heal. Like Titch's version of healing is just like, we're all gonna die. Like,
Titch can heal, right? And Titch is like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
He's bleeding out somewhere.
Also, I want to welcome in everyone who stopped by. Good turnout so far. Let's keep that up. Zane David, yeah, this is kind of a session 0, so we're in the middle of, I think of this as 0.5. We are going to do a little adventure at the end, but a lot of this is sort of introducing the characters and some of the new aspects of the system, particularly fellowship points, which I'll come back to as I said in a minute. So very
stats,
cool.
then.
Yes, so let's do some stats. So the way we do this chat, in case you're curious, stats are based on 5e. So we have the 6 stats: strength, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, dexterity, and constitution. And the way that we do them is all of the players roll 4d6, and then drop the lowest of those rolls. They take the highest of the 46 that they rolled, and they're going to do that 7 times, and then drop the lowest of those 7. And from the remaining 6 statistics, they will distribute them among those stats based on what they think would be most effective for Captain. So clearly, it's going to be put 100% into intelligence. I think that's obvious.
Right.
Okay.
150%.
150%. All right. So let's do this. Let's make this happen.
So we roll 4d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Oh my god.
Okay, hang on. Let me get my dice roller working on stream.
That's actually 3, 4.
Okay. There we go. It is there.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to turn that off. It's waiting for me to drag to roll the dice. So.
Oh, yeah. Wait a second.
Oh,
I can fix that. Yeah, I forgot. It's been so long since it's been 84 years. It's that meme. Okay, dice options. No, automatically roll. Enable 3D dice. And automatically roll it. Okay, now try. You should be good now.
Nope, still waiting for me to click and drag.
Anyway, it's doing that, but that's
whatever.
At least it's showing on screen.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. So 6 and 7.
Okay.
So first one, which since it's rolled up past the point where chat can see it, is
I'll grow that up a little
2,
bit.
a 5, a 4, and a 1. So we drop the 1. So it goes from being a 12 to being an 11.
Yep. Okay.
And I will put these into chat there. Second one, same thing. I have a 5, a 5, a 1, and a 1. We drop the 1, which takes me from a 12 to an 11. A lot of 12s here. The third one is a 2, a 4, a 5, and a 1, which is 12. Drop the 1. It gives me an 11.
Titch, the relentlessly average. Titch average bow.
All of the 11s all of the 12s are going to become 11s because they're all ones. It's great.
But no 6s. No 6s,
There's the next one is a 16, a 5, a 4, a 6, and a 1.
Yep.
But we drop the 1 to make it a 15. And then we have an 11, which is a 1, a 5, and a 4. We drop the 1, it becomes a 10. This is awesome. I love it so much. Then I have a 1, a 4, and a 6 to make a 12. I drop the 1, it becomes an 11. It's just great. I love it.
Really is amazing.
And then finally, a 5, a 4, a 4, and a 1 for 14. Drop the 1, it becomes a 13. So that is the 7 numbers. The lowest of those is a 10, which I will drop.
Okay. And the highest is a 16, right?
Highest is a 15.
Oh, sorry,
because we
15.
dropped the 1.
Beg your pardon. Okay.
So this gives me an 11, an 11, an 11, an 11, a 13, and a 15.
Amazing. So amazing. Okay.
This is incredible.
It's really incredible. Like, I can't even.
Love when it's not just that it's not the dice following the narrative so much as I feel like the dice are like active collaborators in the narrative that we have described and stuff. It's very lovely.
Absolutely. The dice are like literally listening. They're like, okay, so we need to, yeah. Right. So where are you going to put that 15, your top score?
All right. 15 is definitely going in strength.
Okay. Logical.
Yeah. And that becomes a 15 there, which at this point gives me a +2.
Okay.
The next one is a 13. I'm going to put into charisma.
Okay.
No.
Or wisdom because of insight. I didn't know which one you wanted.
Well, I get
or con. I mean, you multiple
probably
choices.
Constitution.
Yeah.
Probably going to put it into Constitution because I don't get any pluses on Constitution.
How are you going to distribute all the rest of your 11s? I'm just joking.
Yeah. No.
Super easy.
because remember, because of my being a man of Bree, which I didn't really say this during the thing, but because I'm a man of Bree, my wisdom and charisma each go up by 1.
Go 1, yeah.
So those, my
True.
charisma, it's delightful. So those are going to become 12s.
Okay.
Let's see. So I'll put one of them in dexterity. 12 there.
Runa, how are you going to distribute 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1?
Right. I'll put one of them in wisdom. And this will leave me with an 11 in intelligence.
It's like, so you have 4 dump stats, like almost like,
Kinda.
you know,
Kinda.
basically.
And then what was the other one? Was that another 11?
I think it was another 11. I think you had 15, 13, and then a whole metric ton of 11s.
Okay, and I will adjust those 11s.
Yeah, which
I will
before
adjust that
the
11
adjustment, yeah.
as the things go up. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, this now on the sheet, I had a bunch of red text because it was calculating things at -1 for everything. And I'm like, they're like, no, you don't have a 30-foot movement speed. Your strength is you got to. And I'm like, no, just be patient.
You can't actually move. You have 0 strength.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've had a character get into that situation. They were hit with a weapon that drained their strength score down to like a 3, and they couldn't walk
No.
because their leather armor weighed them down so
Oh
much
my
they couldn't
God.
walk anymore. It was an amazing fight. Anyway, so yeah, that brings me to, I haven't quite adjusted them all yet, but that's a minimum of a 15 strength for a +2, a 12 dexterity for a +1, a 13 constitution for a +1, an 11 in intelligence, which is +0, a 12 in wisdom, which is +1, and I will adjust my charisma up to, I think, yeah, up to, so that'll bring it to a 13.
By the way, I'm looking at the virtue of the hobbits, and they have the art of disappearing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love this idea that the 3 hobbits all disappear and the only one
Yes.
standing there is
I was
just
thinking
Titch,
about
like-
this last night. Yeah, the Titch is just like,
But because of Titch's
like, oh,
like,
shit.
but Titch is like, I knew you were going to do that, like because of your insight. Like he's just like, I saw this
Exactly.
coming.
This is so, I love you. They could all disappear in single file behind Titch. Just like.
And we like walk when he walks.
Yeah.
Or, like,
exactly. And
On
since-
each other's shoulders, like because his spear blocks the rest of the way or whatever. Like,
Right, and you guys have unobtrusive, I believe, which means you guys can move through my space, you know, because I'm a size larger than you guys
Oh my
are. So
gosh.
it's like you just
But
and
we
you're
do have-
gone.
We do have Brave at a pinch, so we'll all jump out at the right time and defeat.
Uh-huh.
haha, and probably freak out the creature that you're fighting. Oh my god! Like, you just
It's
produce
like-
these other.
It's like Elrond during the council meeting when the rest of the hobbits show up and he's like
Yeah, he's like.
watching everything.
Exactly.
Hugo Weaving must have had a blast with that.
Oh
scene.
man, I can only the
Anyway,
sternness
so-
of the look. That's
Yeah.
great. So last thing to check here before, and then you can like tweak as you like. But the last thing we want to do publicly here is your hit points.
Which, according to rules as written, level 1 we get.
Oh right,
maximum.
maximum. Never mind. Yeah, right. I take that back. Yes, that is what
So
we're
that-
doing. My bad.
That brings me to 11.
Right, because of the
11.
11.
11.
11. Oh, it's such the best skit of all time. I love that so much. Did I tell you, Tari, that I had a Scottish student who was an older man. He was auditing the class. Who I told you was the greatest thing ever because when I was teaching Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, he had been in the London Blitz and his parents had taken him to the country to
Oh.
avoid it. So he was like, let me explain what this is like. I'm like, yes, sir, please do that. Anyway, but he was the one who said, Professor, I thought you'd find this funny, and he sent me this thing about the 11. Oh, God, it's so funny.
Oh, I see.
It was great. Okay, so great stuff. I am very excited for Titch. Thank you, Tren. So that is Titch.
Sure.
Tren's gonna keep working on that. Okay, who has the second most? Tari, is it you as like the second most done? You think on Granny Lavender, Hope Singer in terms
What
of
do you mean done?
character concept and like knows what kind of class you want.
My
her
character
to be
sheet
and all
is
that stuff.
full.
Right, so you're right. So you're the next person I'm going to talk to, and then I will come to either Brad or Amal next.
Yes.
As you're building this. So
Hello.
so Granny Lavender Hope Singer. So tell us, we already know a little bit about the basics of what she is personality-wise, but who is this mysterious Granny Lavender Hope Singer? Besides being the grandmother of
Well,
Tori?
I am a level 1 scholar. And a very cheeky crown as far as my distinctive features go. I'm a hobbit, though if you want to look really closely at this, you might discover that I have many traits of the Hardfoots. Though you should understand that, of course, these days in the Shire, all of the three big groups of the hobbits that once were apart are now all mixed and intermingled, and it's really difficult to tell everybody apart. But sometimes you can tell if like somebody is like more the traits of one or the other. And I'm just gonna go on out of character, otherwise this is gonna take 500 years.
That said,
my
I'm
stats
looking
are-
forward to Granny going forward in character. But yes, for now, we'll go out of character for this.
Yes, okay, so my stats are Strength 11, Dexterity 16, Constitution 13, Wisdom 16, Intelligence 15, and Charisma 14.
Ah, less average than Titch.
Well, she's old. She's seen a bunch.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to originally kind of my stats turned out too good on my rolls, but that's fine. I wanted her to be a bit more feeble, but it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, as far as her weapons of choice go, her weapon of choice is a walking stick, which is just a reflavored club. It's this. It's in her character portrait. This like gnarly looking walking stick made from like a root, basically, a tree root.
I can't wait for this to be like a Malaran tree, like a magical tree root, right? Like it's actually have these incredible
Yeah,
effects.
turns out this is one of Treebeard's toes.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly. Well, this was given to me by Treebeard himself, you know, like that type of
Yes, of course.
By the way,
Let's see what else.
Go ahead, Brad. What?
I love that the hair on Lavender's feet is gray also.
Yeah, that's so good.
He was the second person who points that out.
So I think you can't quite see it with this. I'll have to show a full portrait of it. I'll find it. We have one. But anyway, go on, Tara.
She has 9 hit points. Because her hit die is a D8, so we'll get the +1 from the certain Constitution, so that's fine. Let's see. Her proficiencies are she speaks Westron, which is like the basic language of Middle Earth, more or less. Most people speak some form of Westron. Which, of course, in the books is translated as English. For those who don't know, the books are in canon translated and not written by Tolkien. He found the book and then translated it into English because he's extra like that. And also a few old words of Hobbitish, which is a dead language. Like nobody actually remembers what it's fully like. Her tool proficiencies are with pipes, which all hobbits get. Everybody is a chain smoker in the Shire. Herbalism, she can play the fiddle, is a good cook, and I took the liberty to do a little bit of reflavoring, and instead of the what was it? Some other skill, not skill, tool proficiency, weaving, right? Like usually, like the next best thing would be weaving, but I took knitting instead because she's a grandma. Of course, she does knitting, and I'm throwing all my stuff on the floor.
Wait,
and,
can she also use her knitting needles as weapons?
Spoilers.
Suddenly, Wolverine claws, knitting needles.
Adamantine needles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and also brewing, actually. Her weapon proficiencies are just simple weapons. Armor is light armor, though she doesn't wear any armor. Let's see, what else? As far as feats and stuff go, she is an obtrusive, like all hobbits. Then she has Rhymes of Lore, which does the following. Let's find the page. Rhymes of Lore. Basically, she is good at riddles and knowing old things and stuff. It's a whole paragraph. I'm not going to read it all to you.
Okay.
Get buy the book and read it yourselves.
Yeah. Freeloaders, or should
No,
I say free league
I will
loaders?
explain it if it like next time it comes up. Basically, that's
Yeah.
easier anyway. Unarmored defense, which is why I'm not wearing armor, because I get a bonus to armor if I don't wear to my armor class if I don't wear armor. Her standard of living is common. She has a custom background, which I designed around her being like the crazy old village lady. Which gives her like various skill and proficiency stuff. And also because she is a scholar, she gets a craft. Crafts are a unique thing to this system. It is not in regular 5e. Basically, they're replacing sort of spells, but they function more like beat and spell-like abilities. And the one craft I got to choose, like at level 1, I just get one craft, is Leechcraft, which is basically a healing ability. For those who have watched our Adventures in Middle-earth campaign, that is like basically the equivalent to what Tony used to do, Trent's character.
Yep.
But with Honeycakes.
This is your healer, by the way, that's relative.
Yes.
Also, I should say, first of all, hi to Mrs. Dunsel. Also, hi to Dragonspear. Dragonspear, thank you for the gifting of the subs. And while we're on the subject of gifting, it is Dragonspear's birthday, everybody. So, Dragonspear, happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
My present was sent to Dragonspear weeks ago. I was ahead of the curve. But Dragonspear,
very
welcome.
Hobbit-like to give everyone gifts on your
on
own
your birthday.
birthday.
That's right.
So.
That's right. That's right. So,
Indeed.
but yeah, happy birthday, Dragon. Seriously. So good stuff. Also, you now see the picture and that is what Brad was talking about, the gray hair on the toes as well, and other things. Do you want me to show Lavender's home as you imagined it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry? Okay.
You can throw that on screen.
All right. Let me throw that on stream.
You have it at hand.
I do, and it looks like this.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep one night, so I started doodling and it got away from me.
There is Lavender's home. So you can, again, look at that. So good. Great stuff.
It's like basically on the outskirts of Hobbiton, on the edge of the forest. There's like a forest in the northwest of Hobbiton, if I remember right. It's on the map, but the part is currently covered by portraits.
Granny Lavender's class is a
wishing.
scholar, Triffid. Is the actual technical class.
Anything else relevant? Oh yeah, she at that home she lives with her husband Harry and her dog Fido, who is a dachshund. No, he will not be adventuring with us. He will stay home. We're not gonna have any more disasters with like pets getting hurt on adventuring. And I think that should be everything relevant.
Cultural virtue?
Do I get to pick an additional one?
Well, you should get one, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what it was, if you did.
I'm looking to see.
I might have, and just not like written down that it is my cultural virtue. But if I also get to choose one, like just like go ahead, and I will check in the meantime. Maybe I just overlooked that part of character creation, which is very possible because I have terrible reading comprehension. I miss stuff all the time.
What was your background again? That you chose?
Oh, it's a custom background.
Okay. So.
If that's cool.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, we'll come back on the virtues. Very good stuff. I am very excited to see how Granny handles things. I think it's going to be great. Okay, so and we already heard about the stats, so we're good. That means we get to move on to the third of our 4 players. And I guess Brad and Amal, it's up to you in terms of who feels slightly more ahead of the game or less ahead of the game or whatever than the other. Like, I mean, who feels like they've got a better sense of what their character is going to be?
I have a pretty good sense of the character. I was just trying to find. I was like scanning the book to try and find the how many ability points and things that we can distribute to try and do that before, but I could not find it. And if you want to tell me,
Yeah, if you start, well, so if you go to, so basically you build it out. So if you go to Hobbits of the Shire, which is page 37,
37.
that will give you the cultural traits, the fact that your dexterity score increases by 2, all that stuff. And then you can go to what your actual class is. What the hell? Hold on a second. Dragonspear has gifted some exorbitant amount. What is this? Dragonspear has gifted 12 tier 1 subs to my channel. Dude, what are you doing?
Damn.
This is your birthday. I mean, unless
Yeah,
this
he's
is
having a
what
true Bilbo.
I mean, he's a true
Hobbit.
hobbit, like, I guess.
Yes.
Well, what worries me is that he said he just came back from having a lot of wine and cake. So I want to make sure that this is him doing this and not the wine doing this. Thank you,
No, it's the
Dragon.
cake. It's the cake that's
the
doing
cake.
it.
It's the cake that's doing it, because 12 is how old I am. Oh, cute. Very cute. Well, thank you, Dragon. Holy cow. And welcome, everybody. Let me say quickly thank you and welcome to Cat Rambo, of course. Cat lurking in chat. Welcome to Combustible Dan. Welcome to J-Rab. What's up, Jay? Welcome to Baron Valar. Welcome to Divinorium. Welcome to Gan Eden. Hi, Jen. Welcome to QCG Aaron. Welcome to VTech. What's up, VTech? Welcome to Amanda Gedden. Welcome to Video Store Cowboy. Welcome to Nixie Plays and Trollware. Welcome, everybody. Oh, my God, and there's more. Welcome to... And then Hilness gifted... What the hell is wrong with everybody? I'm sorry. We'll continue in a minute. We're just going to be like, this is just madness. We just got 20 subs to the channel in the last 5 seconds. Thank you, Hilness. It's not your birthday, Hilness. What is this about? Thank you, Hilness, as well. So Mighty Mur with a sub. Welcome, Mur. Good to see you. T-Bank now is a sub. Iculus 1030 is a sub.
Mur.
Osric the Dwarf has a sub. This guy, Nari, I don't know if you can really trust this Nari guy, has gotten a sub. I'm sure Tari would agree with me.
He needs to sleep. Why is he still awake?
Caro Hemmed, thank you. Welcome, Caro Hemmed. Actual Factual is a sub now, thank you. Cinder XP, Genly, good to see you, Genly. And of course, Wenchkin. Wow, thank you, everybody. Yeah, Lord of the Rings will resume after Arv lists all the new subs. You felt left out. Hilness said he felt left out. Thank you, Hilness. Thank you, Dragonspear, so much, everybody. Wow, that's a really amazing way to start. Thank you. And for
Did I hear
anyone
you
from...
say that,
Yeah.
that Mighty Mur is here?
That's right.
Hey!
Mur, who of course streams quite a bit herself, and friend of the stream, Mur. Some of the people are not here. They don't have to be here to get a sub as long as they're just in chat. So it's giving subs to everybody in the world. So they're going to come out of it and be like, wow. So, but yeah. So those of you who missed the sub, we'll see. The subs will be happy surprises. Thank you, everybody, so much. It's a wonderful way to start. For the Free League folks who might be watching this VOD and being like, what is going on? A lot of my chat is my community is being extremely generous because they're awesome people. So that's what's going on. My apologies,
question?
Mal. Yes, sorry.
So everybody gets a level 1 cultural virtue, correct?
No, I just checked that. Hobbits don't get one.
Hobbits don't have one.
Okay, so I didn't make a mistake. Okay.
Nope, you're right.
All good.
That's also why I didn't see it under Hobbit. I'm like, wait, what? So yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Amal, on we go. So we start with that. We start with getting all the stuff from Hobbit of the Shire. Then we move on to what class you want to be. And then
I have that sorted out.
Okay, you do. All right.
Yeah.
So are we looking treasure hunter?
Yes.
I'm shocked. Sounded about right. Okay. So, which means you get a certain series of proficiencies and skills. We'll talk about that. But for right now, let's just talk about the Hobbit of the Shire thing. So it means your dex is going to go up by 2.
Yeah, that's very embarrassing. Do you remember what I rolled for Dex?
Some ungodly number.
Yeah.
Something more than an 11?
It was more than 11. It was more than 11.
23?
It was more than 11, less than 20, but it will no longer be less than 20 as a consequence
Well,
of
it
that.
can't be more than 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's well, listen, that's
It
That's
could be
insane.
back in
Impressive.
2nd edition advanced.
You know, literally, it makes me wonder if I should actually rebalance my sheet slightly. Not by re-rolling. I'm keeping these rolls. These rolls were come by honestly.
They were.
But no, I actually have maybe just shifting that ridiculous 18 to something that isn't Dex, considering the proficiency. But I also like her being just truly supernaturally dexterous. So
I think it's fine as long as the rest of it doesn't reflect those supernatural stats. In fact, let's talk about that. So your top score is Dex. That's a 20 now because of that.
Yeah.
That's amazing and maxed out. So that's fine. What's your second highest stat then?
15.
And that goes to what?
Charisma.
Okay, charisma. Sure. to get away with those
He gets
moments
into
where-
a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah. The do you need to know the next highest?
Yes.
Then so the next two highest are 14. I have two 14s.
Okay.
And then I have an 11 and a 10.
Okay.
So the quandary that I have with Coriander is that it's like this distribution of stats as I currently have it is actually quite similar to River's. In that River was a high dex, high charisma character who over the course of the campaign became steadily wiser, became wiser. Initially, Coriander is in her tweens. She is very young for Hobbit adventuring. I actually had her down as 22, but apparently the book wants her to be at least 25, so that's what she will be.
Okay.
Oh, shush the age restrictions from the book.
Yeah, I don't know. It said 20.
Controlled.
The thing is, she to me, she is very she is childlike. She is just a very young Hobbit with a hunger for she's extremely curious, just curious about everything, and very, very, very light on her feet. So on the one hand, it makes sense for strength and constitution to be her dump stats, in that she's very, very dexterous and very acrobatic, but she's also like a leaf on the wind. She does not pack a punch. She couldn't. But on the other hand, I think it could be really interesting to have her be a higher constitution character on the basis of she is rough and tumble and gets into a lot of scrapes and stuff, and lower her wisdom or something else. So I'm not entirely sure. I think she is high intelligence. I think she is she loves riddles and solving problems and stuff. But I don't know. I might also keep it this way because there's a thing that I don't know how to make happen mechanically, but that I would like for her, which is, I don't know if the game actually allows for this, but I like the idea that she has a sense of almost communion with objects, that she gets a sense of where they've been or where they want to be. She certainly thinks she knows where they want to be and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I like the idea that there is a kind of affinity or intuition between her and objects, which I feel could be a sort of wisdom-y thing, but I don't know. So those are those things. Definitely treasure hunter. She's very curious. She loves beautiful, shiny, intricate things. And she likes to know how things work, I think.
I love that. Also, while you were talking, Shadow Mage gave another 5 subs, so I actually muted the notifications because I'm like, oh my god. So thank you, Shadow Mage. And then Prince Justin also cheered with bits and everything. So thank you, everybody.
Aww.
Very,
so
very,
lovely.
it really is nice. Yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you, Shadow Mage, Dragon Spirit Hillness. And sorry for everyone that may be just coming in from Discord since the bot did not work, so I had to do that manually just now. So, so that I mean, it totally is up to you, of course, in terms of how you want to do it. It sounds like you'll be able to get, I mean, the dex and the charisma seem obvious as the things you'd want to do. As far as the other one is concerned, I don't know. I could also imagine a decent intelligence, but not so hot on wisdom.
That's the kind of the route I was thinking of going.
Yeah.
I think the thing that might end up deciding it for me is a cursory glance over the virtues and things. Excuse me. Made it seem like there are some that just give you stat boosts. So I thought I might see what those do. There's one that's tough as old tree roots or something like that, right? Which I think is a boost to Constitution. I think it would sort of make sense for that to be the case. Either way, I think strength is still her lowest thing. I just don't see her able to
And it's not like you're struggling. I mean, that's the average.
Yeah.
Tits would kill for stats
one thing to note is that while men of Bree get a starting virtue and hobbits don't, hobbits have a subculture. So
Oh.
I don't know if because and it's at the bottom of page 37. The subcultures themselves are listed at the top of page 38 for Fallowhide, Harfoot, and Stoor. And the Fallowhide gives you an increase of 1 to your charisma. Harfoot gives you an increase to your wisdom of 1, and Stoor is the strength of your constitution increases by 1. So
And Cal is a Fallowhide, so
Right.
like literally.
Yeah, and I'm a Harfoot.
Yeah.
Aha.
So, like as I mentioned earlier, you can choose either because they all live together in the Shire. Like they're all mixed up and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Fallowhide definitely makes more sense for her. I think. But yeah, okay, I'll think about that. I really thought I was clearly looking at the wrong part of the book. I was like, I'm doing my due diligence and reading there was a totally different Hobbit section that I
yes,
read.
there was.
So okay. So I did read that other one and not this one, which actually gives all the useful character building things. Cool. So sorry, where are we? Do I need to allocate all of those?
So I guess I think you allocated them, or basically just run through the stats for me one more time in terms of what the numbers were.
Okay.
Besides, so you have the dex, right? So 20 dex, and then what else from there?
Charisma is going to be 15,
Okay.
possibly plus 1. Do I have to make those decisions?
I mean, you just tell me like the basics of it. So 15 is there. Okay.
15 charisma, dex 18 plus that 2, wisdom.
That's not a number. I'm sorry. 5 is not a number.
Can I just put it? I have to do some thinking about this. Right now, wisdom is 14, constitution is 11, and intelligence is 14, and strength is 10.
Okay.
I might swap wisdom and constitution. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, so once you do that, we'll do the hit point total for you last of all. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Good stuff. All right, excellent. I'm very excited
Also,
for that
don't
too.
forget to select your background.
Yes. So
Or
right.
build one.
Cool. Actually, well, now that we've done this part, I don't know. Do you want to, Brad? Do you want to switch to Brad and I'll figure this out? And
Yeah, that's what I was planning actually, because
Oh,
I
great.
think we got that. So that was my plan.
Okay.
I just need hit points from you, but otherwise that's good. Lovely. So far, chat, we have got a Hobbit scholar. That's Granny.
Wait, hit points are already at max, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but
Yes,
it
but-
depends on the con
Yes,
that you
but
take.
you also need
Constitution
to add
bonus.
your
Is your con.
constitution bonus.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry.
So
Go on.
Granny is a Hobbit scholar. We have
Yes, indeed, dearie.
Titch, who is a Man of Bree captain. We have Coriander, who is a Hobbit treasure hunter. And then we'll see the specific subculture and all that stuff in a minute. And as I realized I had put that under the wrong Hobbit. I'm sure that will never happen, that I will confuse which Hobbit is which. I'm sure that will never happen again.
Are you saying we are all looking the same, young man?
Absolutely not. I confused you with Titch. So...
Oh, it's the beard, isn't it?
Right, exactly. It was the beard. Okay, so that is Coriander, Granny, and Titch. Okay, treasure hunter, scholar, and captain. Last but certainly not least, Brad, we have Cal. We have Caloran Fallowhide. So let's talk about what Caloran actually is class-wise and the like. We know that he loves maps, but besides that.
Yeah, so he's a messenger, and I kind of stumbled on that cartographer thing from the map thing from the Fallowhide background. It gives you the choice of having proficiency in calligrapher supplies, cartographer's tools, or a musical instrument. So I'm thinking that obviously he has chose cartographer's tools, and so he's a curious sort as well. He's energetic. He's still young. I'm thinking like mid-30s kind of thing. And like Coriander, he's curious, but what he collects is places, which he jots down in his like a journal or something like that. So as he goes around, he's this budding cartographer, and so he likes to go different places and sort of map them, and he considers them like found, when he does. And the only reason he hasn't gone outside of the Shire at this point, maybe very rarely or something, is because he hasn't mapped the entirety of the Shire at this point. So he's kind of going from place to place, maybe out to as far as Bree, I'm thinking he might have his job is to like go between those two places
Okay.
and points in between, and drop things off, be a messenger.
In fact, do you want to read, Brad, for because we didn't have a messenger last time. Do you want to? I'm looking right at it, but do you want to read just that first little paragraph about what a messenger is, if you see that on the page? Because
Like there was no messenger class in Adventures in Middle Earth.
that's right. It's been this. That's right. This is new to this edition, so that's why I was curious about doing it. You see it under the table there?
Yes.
That's a thing.
Yep.
The wise hold that evil days lie ahead, and that to keep hope, all who fight the enemy must be as one. Yet many miles and centuries of isolation separate the free people, and estrangement breeds mistrust. I have decided that it is my duty to travel to distant lands, carrying tidings and warning people of the coming danger. Yeah, so maybe like, in recent years or something like that, Cal has sort of gotten wind of more and more troubles, and so maybe even that's pushing him a bit to go beyond and see what dangers are there, in an effort to sort of protect and make the Shire aware of what's coming.
Is he the scientist that no one ever listens to? He's like, no, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Like, whatever. What does he know? It's like the origin story of of every Jeff Goldblum character ever. No, that's amazing, and I actually really like them. Yeah, exactly. I love the two. Messenger paths. I don't know which one you're going to take, but Counselor and Herald, which are both paths that the messenger eventually can go down. My guess is you're looking more at Counselor, but you tell me if that's right. Because the Counselor, so basically the two differences are that the Counselor is someone who provides like words of wisdom. Like I almost can imagine Cal. This is up to the party, of course, but I can almost imagine Cal as being kind of like Cal and Granny would be the two that would sort of be like, all right, let me talk to the people when we come to them, right? I have this image just because, Cal has done so much of it. And I can imagine Granny being like, well, let me handle this. Cal being like, but I know these people or whatever. So anyway, it'll be totally up to you, of course, Brad, what you want to do. But
then Granny goes and antagonizes.
Yeah, exactly. Cal's the peacemaker. But like, I could see either one of those, but Counselor is like basically like tidings, and that the way you described Cal is what made me think of that as a subclass, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Herald, and it's more like they've almost given up hope at this point, kind of thing.
Right.
Well, it says they believe that advice alone cannot stop the enemy. To withstand such reckless hate, you need both wise words and strength to back them. But Counselor has a slightly different angle. A wise counsel is rare to come by in the twilight of the Third Age, as words can be distorted and put to crooked uses by servants of the enemy. This notwithstanding, you have chosen to oppose the shadow by bringing your advice to all who need it. Yeah, I think that matches his...
You know what I mean? Like, it's up to you, but it just feels like it does.
Better.
Yeah.
The artist who drew the guy on that page, I cannot stop. Every time I look at it, I think he's snowboarding. Every time.
Wait, which page?
On page
53.
53. I'm going to show it on stream too. It is funny because, again, we have the image that, Brad gave it. We know what Cal looks like, right? And then in the book, like, there's sort of like, this is the... let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I see it.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of like... Okay, let me crop that and save this. All right, hang on a second. Save as... let's put that.
While he's yeah.
If you choose or anybody, you choose a messenger path when? Right up front or later on, or?
The messenger path comes at third level.
Or any
right.
path.
Or any path, right? Any path. Any path.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like, Chad. They're like, this epic's like, or Cal, like, is the other option for these two possibilities. But this, of course, that's the Herald as opposed to the Messenger. So, but it does show you kind of what it looks like. So yes,
he doesn't even wear a tabard.
I mean, seriously.
Fake Herald.
So I do want to mention one thing as a note to Brad and to everybody, which is that we will be starting this first level, and it will actually be a little bit before we may get fairly well in, a few sessions in before we get to third level. So just kind of as something being aware, like if you're like, don't be thinking of it as like, I'm getting this right out of the gate, because it's not quite that way. But having said that, that's just something to think of down the line, I guess, Brad, about what you're going to want Cal to be. In the meantime, though, I mean, you have knowledge of folklore and stuff like that, I assume, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, from around, but around the Shire, I'd say. But he is also like.
This is what a herald looks like there.
I see.
It's,
So, but he collects, not just places, but like news from other places, but also like, what places are like, kind of the vibe of them.
Yeah.
So he really enjoys like not just meeting people from distant lands, but sitting down with them and having like, maybe a beer and really digging into what they're about.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So he can kind of just see what's around the Shire without actually having been there yet. It's another way of traveling to him.
I love that. I wonder if there's going to be a situation where like, Titch is going to be like, I don't think it's a good idea to go down there, to go that way. And, and Cal be like, of course it is. Like, that's
might
the
be
best.
someone there, though.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't we go there? Yeah. Like, of course we do.
You haven't seen it.
And any map at all, just being like, oh, which is how they describe Frodo, as like loving maps and all this stuff. So,
The fight is happening, and I'm staring at the carving on the tree.
Yeah, it's like, can you help us out? You're like, but did you see? There's an estuary right there.
I had a Vampire the Masquerade character like that. He was one of the ones that's really into art and everything. Like, we're trying to run to escape the coming dawn, and we're running through a museum, and I'm like, ooh. Like, come on!
This belongs out of a museum.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, so good stuff, Fred. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually very excited to see that too.
Yeah, so I was talking about the cartographer stuff, but because Fallowhide has the calligraphy tools and the musical tools, he also has, he bought and is not proficient with, a lute and calligrapher's tools, which he's trying to get better at, so he can like make his maps even cooler.
Yes.
Than they are so far.
Now, is he horrifically bad at calligraphy, or just like very amateur?
He's just not proficient with
Yeah. Okay,
it.
I gotcha.
But he could be.
And same thing with the lute. Like, he knows a song or two, but can't go much beyond that kind of thing.
Okay.
Right now.
This is a legendary song I learned from someone called the River. And
As the Hobbit, you get your proficiencies with that, but as a messenger, you get proficiencies with a tool of your choice. So that could be your calligrapher's tool. So you could be proficient with those as well.
I see that.
you also get a higher speed because of being tireless.
I was about to point that out.
Because
so,
basically
his speed
Cal
is 30.
like walks all day long, like 6 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like all the time.
Literally Sonic the Hedgehog. He's also blue and fast.
He can keep up with Titch. It's awesome.
So the tools.
Coriander doesn't need to keep up with Titch because she just will like periodically ride on his shoulders without him noticing.
Sure. What were you saying, Brad?
I'm tempted to take Lute because I was thinking he's, maybe even like songs kind of fit into his whole thing, right?
I could see
so
that.
He collects those too as he goes to different places and stuff like that. So maybe he'll take lute or musical tools. I don't know if that's the right.
Yep, you can have proficiency with musical instruments. Yep.
Absolutely.
It is an artisan tool.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Also a note, which is that at second level, and I believe this is also the case for, so this is not the case for Treasure Hunter. This is based on the class. But for Messenger, at second level, you get a common or cultural virtue of your choice. And that is going to happen not that long into the adventure getting to second level. So be keeping in the back of your mind, Brad, about thinking about getting a virtue, a cultural or common virtue, not too long after we start as well.
Okay.
And you'll get sneak attack at the same time.
That's yeah.
Which you know how to use, so that's fine.
I think that's. I'm actually really interested in the Messenger. I thought the Messenger was cool when I first saw it. That's also very Tolkien, and I'm glad that they added something like that. Good stuff. Right, let's talk stats, Brad, about this.
So I did some very average rolls. I wasn't sure if I should be rolling them on screen or just keep them.
It's up to you. I trust you either way.
Well, they're in the chat row, so that's fine.
Yeah. I'll just use those then. So I have a 13, the highest, down to an 11, the lowest, and a whole bunch of 12s and.
Oh wow.
But some of them are going to go up, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's figure out where we're putting these things then.
I think. Where are you? No. So I think Dex will get the 13. So that'll go up to 15
Okay.
for Hobbit.
Yep.
And then I think I want his. You know what I should do? You know what? I think I'm gonna put 13 into charisma, because I mean he's like an affable dude, right?
Well, and he meets people all the time. If he is going to, absolutely.
Yeah,
If he's going to be
and-
kind of this, I don't mean the face of the party, but one of the people that like greets people and like, hey,
Right.
that, yeah, absolutely. He probably
I think I'll do
knows
that.
more about the outside than any of the rest of you, right? Even including Titch. Like I assume everybody, you know, Granny, because Granny, I don't think is like, that's not right, Tari. Granny knows about a lot of people in the Shire, but I'm not sure, does Granny think about tons of foreign lands and all that stuff? I'm not sure that's
Oh,
really
no.
Granny's deal, right? So
Not really,
that's
no.
Cal, it seems to me.
He like
Cori-
knows everybody in town and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Whereas Coriander is super curious, but isn't old enough to know anything, yet. So like to me, that feels like Cal is the person who's like, hey, what's up, type of thing.
Because for Titch, the world comes to him, and
Yeah,
but Cal
his
goes
gate.
out.
Yeah.
And basically, so it makes sense that Cal would know more.
Yeah.
I hope Cal is a very patient hobbit.
That's
Oh.
true.
Oh, I don't think I mentioned Granny's age, actually, did I?
206.
700.
11-1!
No. 71.
Happy birthday.
No. She is 82.
Oh, okay.
82. All right.
Born in 2878 TA or in 1278 SR.
Wait, but if she's 82, that's not that. I mean, Bilbo was in his 50s when he sets out, right? And he's considered, like, youngish. He's, like, middle-aged.
Middle age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Low middle age.
Yeah, I just thought that if Granny is, like, a cheeky crone, that she would be older than 82 on account of just thinking of, like, Hobbit parenthood. She used to have, like, a child who was old enough to have had a 22-year-old.
Yeah, that checks out,
Okay. It's fair.
right?
Very promiscuous family.
I did the math, but like weeks ago, so I don't remember what the math was.
But let's back up to Brad though. So Cal is going to do that. All right. So we have. So you put 15
Right,
under. Yeah. So give me that again. I'm sorry, Brad. So 15 for what?
I put the 13 under charisma, and Fallowhide, I think it is, gives a +1 charisma.
Yep.
So that'll be 14.
14. Yep.
And then the next highest 12 in Dex, so that'll be a 14 as well.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking, he moves around a lot. So Constitution, I'm going to put a 12 there.
Yep.
And then Strength, he's not super strong. He's more like he's got endurance to travel a lot. So that's going to be an 11. And then between Intelligence and Wisdom, I mean, I would think he'd be a bit wiser, maybe.
Yeah, because it makes sense to me.
Traveled a lot and just being exposed to a lot of situations and stuff like that, and maybe Intelligence just one lower. So 12 and 11.
Makes sense. I have to say, by the way, that you realize that now what you've assembled is a party that in combat is going to consist of 3 people frantically dodging left and right while Titch is like, I am the fighter, and everyone else is like, dodge.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah.
want to point out that the messenger, one of the combat abilities later on that the messenger gets, and this is under counselor, is that so there's a help action which allows you to aid an ally in attacking a creature, but typically the help action only works if you're within 5 feet. You have to be in melee range, but not if you're a messenger. You can do this like 30 feet away, so you can do it from a distance. So basically all of a sudden Cal would be helping Titch a lot, once you got to that level in terms of fights or whatever the case may be.
That is exactly what happened with our in-house game with my my mastermind rogue. He gained that same ability.
Yeah.
It's called Master of Tactics. And so I was always giving advantage to our barbarian from 30 feet away, going, punch him in the... And I'd pick a body
Yeah.
part. And he'd get advantage on his next attack. It was great.
So that's going to be good. There'll be some synchronicity there, I think.
That's word
so yeah.
guard and guiding.
Yeah, the words of guard and guiding, which I think is that's assuming you take counselor, but
Right.
Yeah.
but
That's cool.
That's
so,
a ways down the road. So
yeah,
we'll
that's
have time.
don't think about that immediately, but just so that's cool. Anything else, Brad, you want to highlight about him? Hi, Drew.
let me- I love my character sheet. Okay.
Yeah, that's true, Ridnell, but that's a function, of course, of the fact that Bilbo's life is unnaturally preserved by the ring. And that's why they think of him as remarkably well preserved, is because the ring sort of extends his life for a long time. So for him, so he gets a big assist in beating the old Took, because like the old Took didn't have a ring to benefit him. Benefit in quotes.
Do we choose a path as well?
Messenger path, not till 3rd level. At 3rd level, you will choose which path you're going to go down, Counselor or Herald.
Oh no, under the hobbits, there's like.
Oh, you mean subculture? You talk about
39. There's like tuning paths to tread, Tookish blood, woody gentle hobbit, that kind of stuff. Or I guess it's a background.
Yeah, those are the backgrounds.
Those are backgrounds, yeah.
And yes, you would pick one of those now.
Yeah, I totally see. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say like one of these jumped out at me as more Caloran than another, but I don't want to.
Tuning paths to tread is the one that jumped out to me.
Yeah, I see the same thing. Yep.
What did you think?
I thought witty gentle hobbit, but they both make sense to me.
Either works. Although
yes,
you know what,
Drew, I loved it.
Tookish blood, actually, Tookish blood doesn't totally also kind of works, because you have this honorable family, blah 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 blah. But one night you spotted some outlandish folk around a bright campfire. When you described them to your grandmother, told you they were dwarves on the way to the Blue Mountains, and from that night you started to shun well-trodden paths, hoping to meet other wayfarers secretly crossing the Shire. That also narratively fits Cal too.
That is totally what I was using for Coriander, but
oh, is it? So. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, you can't
have
go
the same
wrong.
Background. Like we're all family anyway. But I was gonna ask about that later. As like, is it possible to mix and match some of like the background with the proficiencies that they come with and stuff?
Yes, I would. In making custom, although I'll admit that Tari will know more about this because she just did it than I will, about the custom background formulation.
Yeah, it's like actually super simple. It's like basically you just choose things and then stuff happens. Wait.
Wow,
things and
Tari!
then stuff
Wow,
happens.
it was just like
yes.
such confidence, and then like fades away as reaching the end of the diving board.
Okay,
Like,
It's
So
entirely.
you choose 2 skills, 2 tools, and 2 distinctive features, and that's it.
Cool.
And give it a name, I guess, and if you want a description, but that's flavor.
but yeah, Brad, you have multiple ways you can go. I think
I think all three of those make some sense. I like the tool proficiency for the witty gentle hobbit, the gaming set of your choice. Like,
Yeah.
again, I could see him like bringing that along with him on his little messenger deals and
Yeah.
like hanging out in the tavern and
Perhaps some
saying, "Hey,
backgammon."
let's play a game,"
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Strike up a conversation that way.
I could see
Fair
that.
spoken, Mary. Yeah, so that one might be a good one.
Uh,
So anyway, yeah, nothing else, strikes to mind.
how about hit points? What do you at for your max hit points here?
It'll be an 8 plus whatever your charisma or your constitution modifier is.
Right, and I think you
Minus
chose
1, so I'm at 9.
9 hit points. Okay. All right. So, chat, this is what we have. We have Coriander Took, a Hobbit treasure hunter. We have Granny Lavender Hopesinger, a Hobbit scholar. We have Caloran Fallowhide, a Hobbit messenger. And we have Titch Applebow, a man of Bree captain. This is your crew. I feel like Gene Hackman in Hoosiers, where I'm like, this is your team. These 4 individuals have sacrificed their days to do this. So there we go. And that is perfect, actually, because that gives us just about an hour. This is exactly what I was hoping for us to get into the adventure. So
We planned it that way.
let's play. But stats, we'll develop as we go through, or whatever.
I made my decision.
Tweak. You did? Okay, what's the decision?
I did decide to swap wisdom and constitution. So wisdom is now 12 because it was 11 plus 1 because she's a Harfoot.
Okay.
She's like takes after her granny.
Yep.
In this respect, constitution is 14.
Okay, which means plus 2, which means you have. We're looking at like 11 for hit points, or what is your No, scholar isn't that. What is scholar? 1d8. What is scholar for? Hit
Treasure hunter is.
Sorry, treasure hunter. I beg your
I
pardon.
think it's 1d8.
1d8. So we're looking at 10. Then would be the 10. Okay.
God, that's such a minuscule number of hit points.
At first, yeah.
If anyone in our other campaign like flicked her, she would die.
Well, by the time we got to the end of that campaign, not at the beginning. You know, at the
No,
beginning.
I think we started at 3 or 5.
You
3?
didn't. You joined
Oh.
when they were like 4 or something like that. So it was a little bit further advanced. This is the origins. These are the Okay.
I think I am going to take that witty, gentle hobbit. By the way, that makes a lot of sense. I like
Yay!
All right.
I sussed him.
Good stuff. All right, let's reset before we start play. I'm really happy to see the excellent turnout tonight. This is the premiere, everybody, of Shire Adventures, sponsored the Lord of the Rings role-playing 5e, sponsored by Free League, and I am joined by the amazing players of Amal Elmatar on your top left. Top right, you see Brad Bollier. Bottom left, you see the amazing Tari Tunes, and bottom right, you see the amazing Tren Sparks. And these players join me. I am your humble lore master, Arvin Eleron, on this channel as we play through Shire Adventures. And I encourage you to please check this out. Check out this system. Free League makes very good stuff. If you've ever played Tales from the Loop, and I have, if you've ever played the Blade Runner is a new one that they've just released. Morkborg has gotten all kinds of awards. There's a lot of good stuff that they produce, and they are sponsoring us for this. And so I am honored that they have joined us as a part of this. And also, hi, Optic Nerve. Good to see you, man. So with all that said, I'm going to bring us forward. Oh no, Amal has left.
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm just
that's fine. That's fine.
stretching in an awkward way.
Sorry,
She's
no, it's
gone
fine.
blind.
It's fine. Just exactly. Coriander is this is Coriander inside
That's
the
how it
chimney.
works.
We begin inside the chimney with Coriander trying to get out of his father. You know, no.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if somebody goes blind, nobody else can see them?
Right.
Is that
It's
how
like
that works?
It's
the
exactly
bug bladder
how
beast
hobbits work.
from.
That's how hobbits work. Okay.
Oh, it wasn't actually the ring that, like, made
Right.
Bilbo and Frodo invisible. It was just making
Y'all don't even
everybody-
understand. I've been sitting in this chair for a million billion hours. I'm so
No, I know. It's just so funny because I was like, so here we go, chat. Join us, please. Let us have a seat, and I'm going to actually switch off the music. We're going to choose different music for this. And let's go with something like, let's go with that.
Good lord. It's 1 a.m. Kill me.
Oh no,
I mean-
sorry, Tari.
All right. So Granny's dead.
Granny's
Granny's
dead.
dead.
Well, that was-
Granny needs her beauty sleep. No, Granny doesn't need her beauty sleep.
She's already, right.
But she will take it anyway.
Take it if she has it.
Just keep pulling your hair into a tighter and tighter bun. It's like a facelift.
So this chat is Shire Adventures, and we begin with our adventure, A Conspiracy Most Cracked. And we begin with 3, actually, of our party, the 3 hobbits, who are coming together for a reason which will shortly become... Oh, wait. I just realized I'm about to do this, and I forgot to mention the one thing that's super important. Sorry. I'm so sorry. If I was stopping without a clutch. I forgot to mention one thing that I think is really cool about this new system, and that is fellowship points. So let me describe what that means. Let me get to... I can't wait to have my physical books again. PDFs, man. Okay, so, because I want to read the description. Right, so it's fellowship rating, technically, is the term. And the way that a fellowship rating works is as follows. One of the things that this does, which Adventures of Middle-earth sort of did de facto but not explicitly as this does, is to think of these as a fellowship, to think of this as a group that works together. And one of the things about having a fellowship is that you are more than just a band of roving mercenaries who are brought together by mere necessity. You have communal goals and a kind of mutual respect. And so fellowship represents the bond of trust, which is enjoyed by the members of the company. And it actually has a numerical value. It is a pool of points shared among all player heroes that is mainly spent to gain confidence. During the adventuring phase, which is the kind of active phase, player heroes can spend 1 point of fellowship to gain advantage on an ability check or attack roll or saving throw. And additionally, fellowship can sometimes be spent to trigger special effects that are tied to the company's patron, and we'll come back to the impact of that a little bit later. So the starting fellowship score is equal to the number of player heroes in the group, which is 4. However, there is a boost to that because you get an additional point because of, I think, I think it was Titch that did that. I don't remember who it was exactly, but we get 1 additional fellowship point, which is 5, and you're going to have additional points based on your patron. Now, none of you know yet who your patron is, but you're about to figure it out. What I like about this is that it is a common pool that people can draw from, and I like the fact that it's something that ties together the group about use this and then take this and use that and use the other. Fellowship points, incidentally, are an expenditure has to be agreed upon by all player heroes in the company. Fellowship points do not ultimately refresh until the end of the adventuring phase. So you get that number of fellowship points to use across the adventuring phase. So you will start with a minimum of 5, and I'm telling you right now you'll have probably a little more than that because of your patron, who we will discuss in just a moment. So, sorry, I did want to make sure that we talked about fellowship points because they are important. Okay. Can you patronize someone in the fellowship? Yes. Also, Dragonspear, everyone can always continue to give their inspirations in the channel, so that is always a good thing too. Okay. Now, as I was previously attempting to say, after quite a long walk under the stars, Coriander, Cal, and Granny, that have come out blazing and bright after an afternoon of heavy rain, you have finally come to a round green door known as Bag End. It is the home of the strange and famous Bilbo Baggins. Standing there upon the mat, you find yourself surrounded by distant relations. Literally true, by distant relations. And Rising Tides has redeemed Arvanaut Inspirations, which means Rising Tides has an inspiration. Thank you, thank you. Let me just quickly add that before I forget. Add the Rising Tides. Okay. Oh, God darn it. Shadowed. Inspiration. Admin. Add the Rising Tides. There we go. There we go. There we go. Just in case. Just in case. Absolutely, Rising Tides. Thank you. So, it seems as though Bilbo called for a collection of cousins or distant relations to join him this evening. And just as one of you is about to ring the bell, the door is pulled open, and you see standing in the front hall none other than dun 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 dun. Who could it be? Who's the person? Who is
Charles
it now?
Manson.
It's Charles. But what? No, it's Charlie
Charles
Brown.
Baggins.
It's Charlie Brown. It's no Charles.
Ugh.
It's this. It is, in fact, Bilbo Baggins, who stands upon the mat and says, "Turn that music down slightly," and they do so immediately, the mysterious musician. He offers each of you an energetic greeting and quickly ushers you in with a plethora of welcomes and thank you and lovely to see you. And before
Coriander will immediately leap towards him and throw her arms around his neck and expect to be sort of, caught and spun around going, Uncle Bilbo! Uncle Bilbo!
Oh, my child. Yes. Yes, very well. Oh, oh my good. Yeah, well, come in. All of the rest of you. Yes. I don't want all of you jumping up on me now. Just one at a time. And so you all sort of, before the rest of you can gather your wits about you, you've been swept into the warm embrace of Bag End. There is a warm fire burning, and you can feel the warmth flowing through the hall. And you are led into the parlor where this lovely fire is warming you, along with fresh mugs of ale and plates of dainties. And there are several cushioned chairs and sofas with a much-needed spot of rest and relaxation. Bilbo, a twinkle in his eye, kind of places you with care, Coriander, down on one of the chairs. And the rest of you can ushers you each into a seat, but he takes none for himself. A few moments after you finish the first plate of food, because I'm going to assume, although correct me if I'm wrong, that you'd all want to have Bilbo. I mean, Bilbo, it's good food to be had at Bag End. You all know this.
Legendary pantry.
Yeah, right. And so, but just as he's about to start, because he seems extremely excited, he places one hand behind his back and another in his vest pocket. He stands as tall as he can, which is not very tall, to ensure your attention. He says, "You are," and at that point there is a doof, 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 knock at the door. And he stops. He's like, well, one moment. And he goes over and he says, "Perhaps some dwarves have come out of nowhere." That's never happened before, has it? And he comes to the door and he opens it. Who does he see? Titch?
How would I know?
Well, you see
Oh!
the famous Bilbo Baggins, and he says, "Yes, what can I do for you?"
Mr. Baggins,
Coriander
I'm-
has crept up behind Bilbo and to look and see who it is, and it's just like, yes.
I'm Guardsman Titch Appleball from Bree. I've been sent to there have been some reports I'm supposed to investigate.
Investigate? Well, why, my dear boy? What exactly could be there to investigate?
There've been some reports that filtered out to Bree about people in Hobbiton seeing some giant bear wandering around.
Giant bear? What kind of nonsense? Well, listen, you better come in. You can investigate my parlor. Just come in. Don't just stand there bobbing on the map. Let's go. And so he kind of, assuming you do that now, of course, I imagine, like, the spear bonks into the door or something, like, on the way through. And he brings you in and then shuts the door behind you, and there's an empty chair, of course, and he says, all right, well, have a seat. Perhaps a hunk of cheese or an apple. You might as well listen to this, too. I wasn't planning on speaking to others besides hobbits, but, well, why not? Goodness knows we need to work together.
Does Titch carry anything on him that is interesting?
Right now, probably his pipe, which is not the length of like a full Bilbo height pipe. It's much shorter than a proper, fancy Hobbit pipe. But it's probably a very nice polished wood with a kind of a clay inlay in the bowl, so that it doesn't burn up.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Cool.
So I'm glad
An
that you
apple,
got
please.
the reference. Oh, certainly. Well, of course. I've fresh ones, actually. And he says,
All right, I've got it. And he just spears an apple from the table.
Okay, I like dramatically, like, as opposed to everything else that's like super
Like
confident.
right as Bilbo's reaching for it.
Yeah, he's like,
Young man, where are your manners? Weapons have nothing to
I
do
left
at
them
the
in
table.
Bree.
Well, yes, evidently. Now put your weapons somewhere far away. This is unhygienic.
And he flips it over and hauls back like he's about to hurl it at the door, and just flips it back around and puts it down next to his foot and just holds on to it and starts eating the apple and sort of nods to Bilbo.
and,
Oh, that's not very loud. Sorry.
yeah, sorry, it was the new song.
Okay.
There we go.
What?
Sorry.
I thought the music was coming like from.
Well, it was once he pulled out the spear, the musicians are like, "Oh, we better up the ante." Right here. Okay.
And while this is happening, can Coriander just like have his pipe and be examining it?
Absolutely.
I don't know if you want me to roll.
Wait, that's Titch's pipe? Then that's up to
Yeah.
Titch. Sorry.
Sleight of hand check.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Let me just yeah.
While you're figuring that out, by the way, Cal,
maybe
what are
she
you
can-
doing as
Maybe
this
she
is
can have an
happening?
advantage because I'm gonna approach Titch and just kind of lean in and say, "What's this news that you came to tell everyone about? The bear?"
Well, it's not news. I'm supposed to get news from other people people are saying they've been seeing a bear wandering around, or a big bear tracks somewhere. Just
You
I don't know how to make the roll work now, but it would be
roll a d20 plus your dexterity modifier.
Yeah.
okay. Gonna just,
And if you're proficient
Well, unless
in
you are
sleight,
And if you're
proficient.
proficient, yeah, and +2 for your proficiency if you're a sleight of hand.
right. I haven't decided that yet, so I'm just gonna roll it plus her dex, I guess. And there's advantage, so I'm
It would
rolling.
be weird if you
I was
wouldn't
wondering
be proficient at sleight of hand.
Yeah.
I
because
agree.
you are
I just
playing
I
with
don't know,
kleptomania.
I don't know how many proficiencies she gets, and I was trying to go by the background and make that work, but I might fudge or custom that later. So, but you're right. You know what? I don't know. Whatever. For now. I'm just gonna roll 2d20, plus 5, and
Sounds
I
good.
don't know how to make the plus 5 work.
Well, and Brad, I'm sorry, before you do that, Brad, what were you asking? Because I think it's related to this.
Well, I was just saying I'm not meaning to occupy Titch so that Coriander can take something, but I am curious about the news, so I didn't know if that would take his attention away from his pipe.
Titch, do you think you'd be focused more on Cal at the moment? If so, I might do something for Coriander or not.
His attention is probably split between Bilbo and Cal.
Okay, so we'll say that that's maybe +2 to Coriander's check. Although, do I see a?
It's either a 17 or a natural 25.
It's a natural well.
Yeah. she's got a natural 20, but it's like, so it rolled 2, but it added them. So one of them came up 12, and one of them came up a natural 20.
So do you have advantage on
I was going
sleight
to
of
say
hand?
disadvantage? Or...
If you give me advantage, so I
No,
have.
this would be
Okay.
+2, not advantage. So I think that would be a 12 plus
14.
whatever plus an additional 2 for Cal.
That would be 19.
19, okay.
Then I will check my perception. This will be at +3. And that's an 18, which you beat. So yes, you grab his pipe.
Hey,
So Cal, you're still talking with him and or asking about it, and Bilbo sort of, you get the impression, Coriander, that Bilbo sort of notes this and just sort of gives you a kind of a, winks at you slightly and then says, well, now, just now that we're all here gathered in the way that I completely intended, oh my God, the music. Sorry. What frustrates me about this is that I wish the playlist would just stay at the volume I keep it at instead of me having to adjust it for every page. It's really annoying. Anyway, so he says, you are all undoubtedly curious as to why I've called you here this evening, especially if you didn't know you had been called. And he kind of looks at you, Titch, and smiles. Well, and he leans in, the firelight causing the twinkle in his eye to dance merrily. His hand sweeps from behind his back towards the parlor window. I'm hoping you will partake in a little adventure. Oh, nothing so grand as my own, I'm afraid, but in return for your aid, I'll provide each of you with a place in my memoirs and a fair share of my eternal gratitude. He grabs a glass of wine off the table and he takes a sip and, pauses for effect, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, there goes old Bilbo again, taking after Gandalf and sending you hobbits off into the blue. Oh, hobbits and Man of Bree off into the blue. I'm hoping you'll go with them. They need someone you can see. None of them have a spear. You do. It makes sense. Anyway, I can assure you it is nothing of the sort. Nothing dangerous at all. It's just a little trip to Michelle Delving and back to recover what one might call a family heirloom, you might say, from the Matham house. It is a map, and he looks right at you, Cal, when he says that. First, I should say, when he said family heirloom, his eyes flicker to you, Coriander, and then he says a map, and his eyes flicker to you, Cal. Supposedly made by the old Took, and his eyes flicker to you, Granny, himself, with all sorts of precious annotations. Now, I've sent many letters to the custodian, Malva Slowfoot, asking if I could have it back. I've even offered fairly generous donations, I think, but for some reason, she's provided no replies. It's not the way to go. Perhaps she's busy dealing with a large bear. She looks at you, Titch, and he looks at you and kind of nods as if that makes the most sense, obviously. So I thought that we needn't tell her or her husband. After all, we're talking about something that belonged to my grandfather, and that would not be out of place here in Bag End. And most of all, we needn't alert, and this is why that spear is so useful, that pesky dog that the Slowfoots have set to guard the place. He's sharp as a tack, that beast, and he sniffs me out every time I've come near. Besides, I know some of you place more value on local gossip. His eyes kind of flicker from Cal to Granny again. Than others, and even just being seen at night in the company of Mad Baggins might be enough to ruin your reputation forever. But for those of you with...
What reputation?
Well, one that you've built over many years, of course, Granny.
Yes, of course. Can't ruin that one any further.
No, and I
Everybody
certainly
already
can't...
thinks I'm an old coot.
That's true. I've ruined mine already, I suppose, thrown it away. But for those of you with spirit, which I know you all have in spades, and he looks right at you, Titch, and is like, I can see the spirit just flowing from you, or I wouldn't have called you all here tonight. Well,
He's haunted.
and he leans in and he says, won't you aid me on this errand of particular importance, my fellow conspirators?
Coriander's eyes are just like saucer
I
wide,
can imagine.
sparkling. They're just like anime eyes that have big old stars in them. Like,
And he
sorry, go on. But she actually has a moment. She's extremely eager, but she's so excited about this. She's actually become slightly shy, and she's not saying anything. But she's like,
mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose somebody has to look after the little one, otherwise her mother is going to kill me.
And he nods. Quite sensible, yes.
Mama can't kill you if you're with me. We'll both be away.
And
Yes,
you'll all be
indeed.
needed because of all the things. Well, and Cal, you know all about maps. This is exactly why we need you. We need you to authenticate it, and make sure it's the right one. I don't know what maps she has there. I won't have an Ursat's map in Bag End. That's not how it's done.
Uncle Bilbo.
Yes.
Do you need? Is it that you want us to get the actual map, or is it possible to make a copy of it? I mean, I'm only saying if the map is happy where it is, it might not be best to bring it. But if you just want the information that's on the map, then I'm sure Caloran could make a copy.
Well, as your uncle will tell you, Coriander, there are times when a copy is not how do I put this? It's not enough. One needs a kind of verisimilitude, truthfulness, the genuine article, one might say. And, well, it did belong to my grandfather. It would be as if I asked for a copy of my own grandfather. And, well, Granny will tell you that copies of grandparents is not the way to go. He pauses and then he looks and he says, I imagine it will work perfectly. And that, and he turns back to you, Titch, is where you come in. You see, now, some of these are, they're wonderful. You can see wonderful family and relations. They're wonderful hobbits, but, well, their knowledge of certain fisticuffs, let us say, is not as developed as someone I can clearly see as you are. You wouldn't have been sent to search for a large bear if it wasn't for your might. And so, well, they could use a little bit of that might, just a bit of it. Someone with taller amounts of might, really.
So you want me to kill a dog?
No, you don't have to kill it, of course not. But perish the thought. No one kills dogs. That's an awful, I just avoid it, so it doesn't, sniff you out and
Then
bark.
why is a spear necessary?
Well, it may send a warning, perhaps,
To a dog?
well, there may
Dogs
be...
like sticks. If you just throw your spear, it might
I'm not
fall.
throwing my spear.
Well, I mean, at the very least, you would be able to perhaps use your might to demonstrate who is in charge. The sort of alpha dog guard person with a spear, Bree man, right?
And he's just staring, just like, what are you talking about? Just like, this isn't why I came out here. I'm here to investigate reports of a giant bear in the area.
Well, I'm certain that you'll find that giant bear, but you won't be able to find him in Bag End. Excuse me a minute, I'm being blasted by a flute. Okay. Says,
I wasn't hired to
Have you
find a
tried turning down
bear.
the basketball?
he says,
I was hired to investigate reports about a bear,
well,
not to
this is
find the bear.
investigation. You'll find those reports. Do you think I have all the reports at Bag End? There are reports elsewhere. Perhaps there are reports. to
Then
be
I
found
should
here,
go
or
there.
Perhaps there's reports to be found of my daughter who needs my attention. 1 second. Yes.
And look, and,
And
he
thus
turned.
we learned that Bilbo had a daughter.
Brad, you were gonna.
Where are we supposed to be going to find the map and avoid the dog and
The house of a person.
Michelle Delving.
oh yeah, that's right.
We don't know where that is. We just know that it's a person. Right?
Come back.
You know what you could do? And he just kind of looks over at Cal and is like, you could make a copy of the map, leave that map, and take the original.
Ooh, you have a devious mind, Mr. Applebaum.
Really?
Yes, and that sounds like a tremendous plan.
Oh, now I feel bad for thinking of it.
What does a bear look like?
You seen
Okay.
a dog? Like a
Sorry.
fat dog?
Sorry about
Yes.
that. Let me go.
Okay.
Right.
Basically that, but as big as this room.
Wow.
Cal says, "Well,
That's
shit,
so big. This is a very big room. And does it have teeth like a dog?
Bigger and big claws like this long.
And And what does it eat?
Everything.
Like, does it eat pies?
If it can get a hold of them, yeah.
Does it prefer pies to other things?
No, they eat pretty much everything. They're kind of like pigs sometimes. They just eat whatever is around that they think tastes good, I think.
Pigs are nice.
They
I don't
can
think-
be.
Pigs are not very frightening.
I mean, I haven't heard any reports that this bear is attacking anybody. Just
Oh.
people have seen it wandering around at night, or they've seen its footprints in the morning.
Oh,
But-
so then why do you want to know about it?
No,
You just want to meet it? Do you want to say hello?
No, I was sent to investigate the reports to see if it was heading towards Bree or what it was. I mean, nobody's seen a bear that big around here in
So you
Well-
want to make sure that they know if the bear is going to be there, because then they could throw it a parade and then they could actually all see the bear if they haven't seen a bear before.
and if it's mean.
Well, why would it be mean?
Because a lot of times bears are mean.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. And the coriander mulls it over
What is,
so that the adventure can continue.
go ahead, Cal. What?
Sorry.
He's terribly interested in this map, so he says to Titch, "You're out to find out more about this bear. Well, I would propose this: come with us as far as Mitchell Delving. We'll look into this map business, and along the way, we'll look for the bear, and we'll listen for the bear. We'll talk to people and see if we can find out more for you. Is that fair?
Maybe we'll talk to the bear as well.
I really hope not.
Well, one never knows.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could do my investigation along the way.
Granny, have you heard about this bear? Did you know about it and not tell me?
Have I? Greg?
Well, I guess we could have you make a. Do I want to have you make a check?
While we're at it, what is the difference between explore and perception and investigation?
Well,
Since I haven't. Yeah.
Well, so perception is usually whether you notice something through your senses, hear or see or smell or something like that. Investigation is where you are looking in particular for a certain thing, like is there a switch or a device or something like that.
Like active
Explore,
versus passive, basically.
yeah. Explore though is a specific skill, I think, to this thing. So
Yeah.
give me a second.
Yeah.
It's on page
It's specific
20.
to.
Oh, okay. I'll look it up if it's in the book. I thought it was just
It's
like
gaining
a
knowledge
thing that I
about the
had
territory
missed
you're on.
before.
To kind of put it in perspective, if you're at a convention and like you're hanging out on the mezzanine above the lobby and you're just kind of sitting there people watching and you're like, oh shit, there's Arv. That's perception.
Right.
But if you're like, okay, we said we would meet here at, a quarter after the hour. He's here somewhere, but you've got to find him. It's a much tighter focus, and that's why it's intelligence-based instead of wisdom-based.
And explore, by the way, if you're just like, I know exactly where Arv is. He's going to be sitting over there next to that table enjoying a cinnamon bun while, looking at more dungeon mastering tips for lore masters or something.
Looking
like,
incredibly tired because he let chat drive him here.
Exactly. That. Yeah, oh man, that's very true. Those things that's kind of like instantaneous and detailed knowledge of the surrounding area. So that's the kind of thing that Granny probably would be good about in certain contexts around here because of knowing everybody and all that sort of thing. So explore is more of a here's where they are. Investigate is let's go find where they are specifically, and perception is look, there they are. Essentially.
Cool.
Okay, so also, Brad, could you turn up your gain slightly because you're a little quiet? I hesitate to say that because I don't want us to lose you volume-wise all of a sudden. but- yeah, exactly.
So, which check do I need to make
They
to
told me they
know
fixed
about bears?
Yes. So what I would like you to
Or rather, I guess the main idea is either would she have spotted any tracks or anything while being out foraging for wild herbs, or would she have heard any rumors from her clients?
Yeah, I was assuming
From
gossip.
her bingo meetup that happens every weekend.
Yeah, the rumors. So I actually don't even think you need to make a check for this. There is no specific rumor exactly, but you have heard people talking about there are these persistent. I shouldn't say there aren't rumors. There are, but they're persistent ones of a possible creature, or at least what looks like almost like at night usually, a large ghostly looking almost kind of bear shining in the moonlight, sort of shimmering a little bit. But you, Granny, have never been sure whether this is just people who spent a little bit too much time down at the Green Dragon Inn, and then like decided to walk home and like, no, I swear this is what I found. Like, okay, whatever, Sandyman, right? Like that kind of thing. But you have heard these sort of persistent rumors here and there of a bear that wanders around, but clearly that's nonsense. I mean, there's no, who'd ever heard of a shimmering bear at night? I mean,
Well, dearie, then I have heard some people mention something about that, but probably all humbug. So.
What?
Well, you know how some people just like to look a bit too deeply into their beer marks, and then they talk nonsense.
That is true.
She said while sipping her, I don't know, wine.
And so Bilbo kind of sort of says, "So, is it settled? We'll have you in this little adventure? Yes?"
Well, that depends. What do we get out of it?
Well, for one thing, inclusion in my memoirs, a slice of my eternal gratitude, and I'm not just using that as words. I'm sure that I'll be able to find something suitable to be able to reward you with for around here. And that'll be important, not to mention, as long as you're not running around telling everyone you're working for me, because I don't want to spoil your reputation, it's probably the case that I may have a little extra treasure of some kind that I might be able to put in your direction. I might be able to find something, I think.
Coriander raises her hand shyly.
Oh, yes, dear.
I would like a spoon.
And he says, a spoon? Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I would like one of your spoons. There's a very specific spoon, and I feel like it has been wanting to be in my pocket for a long time, and I haven't... I love you very much, Uncle Bilbo, and I just feel like it would have been rude of me to take it without your consent, but I felt it would be important to tell you that this spoon has been wanting to be in my pocket for quite some time, and so I think that after this adventure I would like to have it, if that's all right with you.
Now, dearest, I am curious. You see, I've been missing a fork from the very same group of silverware that you discuss. And, it occurred to me that there is this way that forks and spoons and knives sometimes go together. And I wonder if your pocket has room for it, because it's been calling out for a companion to a given fork. Would you know anything about that?
Oh, I know all about that. But it's not with me. That fork did not want to be in my pocket. That fork wanted to be elsewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think we can see a way clear to making sure that the fork isn't lonely, whatever pocket it's found its way to.
No, it's very happy where it is. I can
sure
assure
it
you
is.
of that. But it is, it's a different situation.
And he sort of nods and he says, I
You have
understand."
so many forks, Uncle Bilbo. You have so many, and I think this one was feeling slightly neglected.
Fewer of them every day, my dear, especially after a visit from you, but I'm sure that I can find my way clear to giving you a spoon that you wish, of course. And I will see what I can do for all of you, although I don't know if I have enough silverware to provide for all. And, of course, I will report to your superiors, turns to you, Titch, about the success of this mission. I imagine the people of Bree would be happy to know that their greatest gate warden has kept them safe by preemptively investigating and throwing a parade for a bear before.
Wait, so he's already
anything.
been here?
Well, no, I don't know. I'm just saying that if you find it...
Well, if the greatest gate warden we have has already been here, then why would I need to bother coming out here to do it myself?
I'm referring to you. Aren't you their best?
I'm not the greatest. I'm the lowest man on the totem pole, whatever a totem pole is.
but I saw the way you speared that apple.
Spearing an apple, that's easy. That's like a spearing target.
I don't think apples walk up to gates very often, is what he's trying to say.
You'd be surprised, he says, and kind of like eyes twinkle, and he says, all right,
Have
well.
you been looking too deeply into your beer mug, or what's going on here?
And he sort of nods and he says, always, at least for some years, I suppose. And he gets this funny little wistful smile on his face, and then he says, all right, well, if we're to do all of this, you need to make sure that you get a good night's rest. And I'll put you up in one of my spare bedrooms. I happen to have one that is actually human-sized, I would say. Oh, and also, of course, I'll provide you a hearty breakfast. You can tell me how you'd like your eggs or pancakes or French toast or sausage or hash browns. I can, perhaps I can see about making perhaps a salad of some kind, some brunch. Perhaps I can add some. And he just goes through this like array of food, like just this staggering amount of options that he can provide. And he says, I'll send you out the door after second breakfast, let's say.
Question?
Yeah.
For Amal and Brett, where do your characters live?
Where do they live?
Mm.
Coriander still lives with her parents, ostensibly, but is almost always at Granny's.
Okay.
When she's not like in trees and fields and yeah.
And Cal?
Oh, nope, we lost you.
Can't hear
Can't
you.
hear you.
I think you got muted.
Rip.
Oh no.
Uh,
Oh no, we've lost it. No.
Bye.
This is what happens when you tell him to turn.
I
up his
know.
game.
It's I said even as I was doing it, I'm like, That's weird though. Like, you touch the volume, you go silent.
Anything?
Up.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Just try to project a little more because you're still a little quiet.
Yeah, okay. The gain's all the way up. I'm not sure what's happening there, but
I know how you feel.
yeah, I'm thinking I keep a place in the Shire somewhere, but also maybe just like a room in Bree that I use, now and again, commonly.
Yeah.
So,
So Cal
also in
says-
Hobbiton, or what?
Well, I imagine Granny and Coriander can like go and get their own supplies or things from home.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, like, Granny wouldn't live too far from here, so.
Yeah.
I don't know the dimensions of Hobbiton, but, she can walk there.
Okay, so then you are, assuming you're okay with this, you are bustled off to your various bedrooms. And you can hear, as you are all sort of settling in, you can hear Bilbo kind of sort of half humming, half singing this thing about the road goes ever and on down to the road where it began. Seems to be in quite a good mood. As the next day arrives, you come out, and you can come out at whatever times you wish to see that the breakfast has been laid out, but that's not all. In the middle of the table on which the breakfast has been laid out, there is also, of interest to many of you, I imagine, a map. And I'm going to...
See, we didn't have to go anywhere. It's right there.
Yes, exactly. It's all been solved. No. Okay.
Cal immediately sits down and grabs a muffin and starts chewing and looking at the map at the same time.
I thought he might. Okay, we'll put that.
Coriander is shoveling food into her face, and every like 6 to 7 chomps of something carryable goes into one of her many pockets. But it's just food this time. Just food. And like rolls, muffins.
A ladle full of soup.
That's right, exactly.
Breakfast soup? That makes
In
no
my
sense.
pocket.
All right, let's take a look. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well,
But while
that's
she,
pretty
before, just at some point, I wanted to get this before. At some point, while the food is all happening, and probably while Titch has his mouth full and cannot reply to this, Coriander will just appear close to him and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Applebaum. I think this belongs to you." And she like offers him his pipe. and says, "But I have to say, whatever you've been putting in it is making it very unhappy, and I think that it would be a little bit more joyful in its lot in life if you used this instead." And she hands him a very, very premium mixture of leaf that certainly has a provenance of some highfalutin place, but is currently here and is just being offered to you. And then as soon as like he takes it, she will just zip to the other side of the table.
Does Granny recognize this tobacco that she's handing over as like perhaps her own?
No.
No, okay.
I was debating. I was gonna have
Are
like.
you sure?
Yeah. No, there are many people in Hobbiton, and many of them make a living at selling leaf, and it will be like
Grappilas everywhere.
Yeah, some premium quality leaf, small amounts for this pipe, so on.
Yeah. Titch is like, I mean, for one, he looks at his pipe and is like, looks to see if, it is mine. And he, puts it in a different pocket, and then he opens the bag and is like,
Well, give here then.
and he kind of clutches it like, no. But he holds it out to her.
Snatches it away and gives him an evil eye. And like also smells it and like immediately begins filling up her stuffing it.
While this is going on, Cal is like mapping out the route that we'll take and the most efficient to everybody's house is and stuff.
Yes. And in fact, the map that you can see that's on the table, Cal, so Bilbo has laid out a path for the conspirators, which you can, of course, feel free to ignore if you wish. But the theory behind it is to head north from Bag End. You can see Bag End at the northeastern side of the map that you're looking at here. And then into Overhill, and then turning west across the country for a few miles before crossing a shallow point in the water, which is the river here, as you know. Then after crossing the Bywater Road, they reach the East Road and they set out west towards Waymeet, where you would rest for the evening before arriving at Michel Delving the next day. So basically the idea of this is to avoid those who might otherwise find 3 hobbits and a man of Bree setting out from Bag End to be somewhat suspicious. There are a few hobbits who are vaguely interested in, news of the day, gossip, discussions, just a few. By which I mean 98% of Hobbiton. So to avoid this is the path that's been set out. And you can, Cal, as you're looking at it, you can try to, sort of tweak and adjust as you wish. But if you want to avoid Hobbiton, that is going to be likely the way to do it, you think. Like going through Hobbiton would be a lot faster, but then you got to deal with Hobbiton. So this is what Bilbo is suggesting.
Appreciatively.
Yeah. And he says, and Bilbo bustles in and he says, well, I'm glad to see that everyone has made their way up and seems bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as it were. I never understood that saying, though. You're not all squirrels, you're hobbits. Anyway, Cal, and he points down, he says, what do you think, my boy? I'm assuming that this gets us out of the way of some of the more concerned, the proud feet, the Sackville Bagginses. You don't want to be anywhere close to them. So I figured if you went to the north, you'd avoid that and then head across the water. What do you think? Is this a reasonable course?
Well, I think it is. Bilbo, although, are we trying to avoid being seen entirely until we get to Michel Delvin? Should we avoid the road?
That's possible. Of course, if you go across those hills, it's a little bit... Well, I'm sure it's fine now that you have your strong right hand here. And he nods appreciably at Titch, who's smoking. Now that you have him, I'm sure that nothing could really threaten you. Plus, all of you are just so clever and wise, and he nods at Granny, and clever, and he nods at Coriander. And of course, you yourself have such a knowledge, Cal, of the way that maps and guidance works. I suppose you could do it. But finding a place to sleep, well, I don't know that I'd recommend sleeping out in the open. In Waymeet, there are so many people coming to and from. They wouldn't think anything of a few of you coming through. There are plenty men of Bree and some dwarves and even an elf or two once in a while. I think they'd probably be fine once you get there. So I just don't want the Hobbiton people to know, I would think.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That makes sense to me. I think we could take this route then.
Uncle Bilbo,
Yes?
if this music, it's a touch loud. That we're hearing, I think. Don't you think?
So actually, what's happening is I think it's actually getting Amal doubled on your end because I think you may be listening to it through speakers. Because I noticed when you're speaking, it sort of is echo doubling for me. It's not that. It's, I think, a decent volume. I just turned it down a little further, but
Okay.
so you may be noticing that. Anyway, so
no. Anyway, so Corandra's like, so you said that they haven't answered any of your letters.
Right, that's right. Yes. Malva Slowfoot is the one I sent them to. She's the one who is the custodian.
And they haven't said they haven't said no to you. It's just that you haven't heard.
Exactly.
And so if they're home, but for whatever reason, perhaps your letters were mislaid or something. If they are home, do you want us to simply pass on your message, or are you suggesting that we do something else if they're home?
Oh, well, I suppose you could do that. I was really hoping, well, you see, there comes a time, my dear, where letters and requests are, well, they're an intermediary step, you might say. They're in between what should be done and what isn't been done yet. We are, to quote a phrase, cutting out the middleman, or in this case, the middle hobbit, by simply taking what I have no doubt Malva would have approved our taking in the first place. So you may not need to say anything to them. You may just assume that they would have given you permission and taken the item so it can be restored to its rightful place as my grandfather would have wished.
I'm
So we're cutting
delighted.
people now?
No, I don't. I'm just very happy to hear that you and I are so aligned on the subject of how to treat objects and where they are found versus where they belong. I am so. I know that in the past sometimes it has felt like maybe you disapproved slightly of the way I look at these things, but I'm thrilled to know that actually we're in alignment.
Certainly, of course. But I will
We should probably get going.
and
What are we gonna do? Should we do we need provisions? Do we need anything else?
He has put together like a sack of some extra things, like apples, cheese, bread, etc.
Briandra's pockets have turned her into a triangle.
Yeah, exactly, with all this stuff. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. As he's sort of putting this stuff together, he says, now one thing I should say, I will certainly be expecting Granny to make sure she watches over you. I'm asking for only one item to be returned. Let us say, removing other Mathams from the Matham house without permission is, well, it's not done. It's unbecoming of a respectable hobbit. This is simply restoring one thing to its chosen place, not all things, and I expect that Granny will know the difference. Kind of looks over at you,
Oh,
Granny.
yes, and like peck more sausages.
Right, and gives more. Also, Bilbo's pantry is legendary, and you can see why. Like, just more stuff comes out of there, and apparently it is inexhaustible. Like, just more food of every kind. Like, also, I should have mentioned that the incredible aroma of fresh baked bread is floating through. Somehow he got up early enough that you can smell the bread. You can it's all super delicious.
Oh, and peck those pork pies, please.
Right, and he puts some more of those in. So by the time you're done, like, you are there's actually one moment where you're all like staggering under the weight of these sacks, and Bilbo sort of takes an appraising eye of it, and he says, "Perhaps it might be wiser to not use that much food. I don't know.
Pish posh, we have a large man here. You can carry everything.
It's true. You're so strong.
Does that mean I have to eat more of it than you do?
No, it means that you have to carry more of it because you're bigger.
I have to carry more of it.
Yes. It's only fair. We'll carry as much as we're able to carry, and you're able to carry as much as you're able to carry, and we'll share everything in common. One might say that from each is according to his ability, and to each is I can't get through it, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a very simple maxim.
Karl Marxfoot was one of those who discussed that very subject. He was related to Lenin here, but anyway.
Prince of all kingdoms, stand together.
Get
it
your
doesn't
damn
make
politics out of my Twitch streams, all right? Let's not have any of that. You know what I mean?
Mr. Applebaum, do you not think it makes sense that because you are able to carry so much more, that you should carry as much as you're able, and we're able to carry as much as we're able?
No,
That's very confusing. Why not?
because we're going to pick things up when we get there. We can't be fully loaded, or we won't be able to carry any more that we pick up along the
We're
way.
going to eat on the way. It'll all become
Also, how heavy do you think this map is gonna be? It's not gonna be made of stone, right? And she glances at Bilbo.
And he says, well, look at the time. No, he doesn't say that. He says,
Halloran has told me about maps made of stone in the past. Sometimes they're carved into a mountainside. This one's not carved into a mountainside, is it? Uncle Bilbo?
There are no mountains in the
I
Shire.
don't believe so.
Probably not.
No.
Well, I mean, it could have been carved into a mountainside and then cut out of the mountainside and then brought over.
This is not conveying a tremendous amount of confidence about how much this map might weigh.
So many things are possible. The world is so big. Anyway, my point
Bilbo,
is you should carry
please
all this food.
confirm. Is this map made of stone or is it not?
No, it's not. It's simply put on a kind of parchment that you can roll, as far as I remember, into a scroll. Oh, but be careful with it. Cal, you know, you don't want these things to get ripped or torn.
Oh no, of course not. We'll take care.
And
The Rip Torn is awesome.
Rip Torn is a tremendous entertainer. So he opens the green door and it is as bright and clear and crisp a morning as you could want on a spring in the Shire. Perfect for a nice walk. And as you sort of gradually make your way out, he says, thank you, all of you, and make sure to hurry to and hurry from and be careful. I don't want any of you tripping and harming yourselves somewhere. I'll expect all of you to use your best judgment and be careful of the dog. Goodbye now. And he closes the door.
Before he goes,
yeah.
Coriander will have given a little peck on his cheek.
Oh, and he would, of course, he would have done the same for each of these direct relatives / family members. And with Titch sort of gives you a, robust, like claps you on, like reaches up to clap you on the shoulder a little bit, type of thing.
As we're leaving and he's calling out all this stuff out to us, he's like, for somebody who doesn't want people to know that we're working for him, perhaps you should be quiet about it.
and he says, yes, quite right. Okay, so you make your way to the... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Cal, sorry.
How tall is Titch?
4'11", I think.
4'11"?
Men of Bree are right around 5 feet
yeah.
or so.
Oh, I knew he was going to be short for a man, but I didn't think he was going to be short for a...
Yeah, 4'11".
Short for a short woman, but okay.
Yeah, how tall that is in proper measurements?
750 meters. No, just
Right.
kidding.
So he's only a foot taller than Coriander? He's like a foot taller than a hobbit.
But he's thick.
Okay, I'm gonna subtract. Sorry, I was genuinely imagining. I was imagining a height difference that was like
He's
hobbit.
thick across the shoulders, I should say. His legs, he's got like bird legs. So
I was going to say, like, wait, what? He's a football
can-
player. Like,
Yeah, I can no longer imagine Coriander like climbing him. So that That makes me sad, but that's fine.
All right, Cal is already like kind of heading down the road and glancing back a bit, but kind of more interested in the journey already.
Wait. Before we go. Coriander, my dear.
Yes,
You
Gran.
need to go let your parents know that you're going to be going, and I need to go let my husband know that I'll be gone for a few days. We should go inform people and be back again.
I'm sure Bilbo's told them. Can I leave a note?
No.
I just don't want to worry them, and I think that if they find a note, then that might be better. Then, you know how Granny. Can you?
You
tell
will be
them?
traveling with me. It will be fine.
Can you tell them, please? I'll go tell your husband, and you tell my parents. Can we do that?
We are just going to step by at both your parents' place and at my place.
Okay, but we might cover more ground. I'll go tell your husband, and you can go tell my parents, and I think that will be better.
Your house is on the way to my house. It's fine.
Yes, but I run very fast. She just like is gonna take off and run to your place.
Titch is watching this with unbridled suspicion of.
It's like questioning life choices. Like,
right.
She's totally just gonna run over to your place and tell your husband that we're going on an adventure.
Okay, cool. At some point,
he says, "You're going on a what slam?"
At some point, we would also arrive like later at Granny's house. At like kiss the dog goodbye, tell the dog to take care of the husband, and then grab a few things and then be on the way.
Corey will have
also
taken
store
the
some
liberty...
of those pork pies at her home for.
Corey will have taken the liberty of packing up a bunch of Granny's things that she knows she would want. And they are... Listen, one thing I want to make very clear. Coriander doesn't actually steal from her Granny. Like, it might actually be a thing that Granny is used to finding a lot of unfamiliar objects in her home while they are transiting to various other places, but her own things don't go missing. Oh no! What?
Not anymore. They don't probably.
Yeah, we lost Tren's internet for a moment. So give us a second.
Well, before
Yeah.
Lavender, Coriander's like a trail of dust in the distance at this point. But Cal says, if the point is for him not to be seen, why don't you go ahead and do what needs to be done, and we'll meet you on the road to Waymeet. I kind of show her on the map where the red dots kind of come into the road there. We'll be in the trees. We'll wait for you.
Oh, you don't want to go say hi to your brother?
Well, I'm a bit concerned about Titch and hiding his presence. I think that seems to be the overriding fear of Bilbo, having people know about the strange comings and goings from Bag End.
Well, all right then. See you later.
Okay, I'm looking for info because he also was not in Discord, so I think we have a hard internet collapse for a minute. So I will recapture here because that will allow us to immediately summon them back. We're almost done anyway, but I would like to go a little longer. So
for some reason of synchronicity, my other browsers are crashing, so I'm not I'm getting spinny beach balls.
Oh wow.
So anyway.
Interesting. Okay.
I will need to be
all of North America having internet die.
I also do need to be out of here at 8, so I don't know if it makes sense to just like.
Well, sure. What I was gonna set us up to do. Actually, let me move over to Cam's only. It'll be a little bit easier. Hang on. Bear with us, chat. Yeah. Let's go with that. Okay. This is completely all over the place. All right. Just bear with me so people can actually see each other when they're actually doing this, because that would be helpful. And then back down. Okay. It's the only problem. I need to figure out a way to make it so that it just automatically resizes if someone has to leave, but they've not figured that out quite yet. Okay. So,
Are we in Overhill, by the way? Or like so Bag End is like that area. All right. Okay.
Back end is just like that hill in Hobbiton, right?
Right. There we
right,
go.
and it's on the northeastern side of the map. You can probably see.
And
where-
like, I'm assuming that map is not to scale. So
no, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I doubt
it's a
very much.
beautiful map. By
It
the way.
is, right?
Like that is some good shit.
Okay, let's see. And there's Granny, and we will close out Titch here, and nope, and then I get Cal back too. Okay, there's that. Okay, sorry, chat. I want to make sure that you can see when people are talking. Okay, and last but certainly not least, this. Right.
Be
Okay.
quiet, I can't see.
Okay, there we go. Lovely. All right. So, yeah. So, you folks make your way. So, just to be clear, what the party had decided to quickly do, to be clear, the party did split up, or you're now that
Yes.
the Coriander's done. Okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
split
like
up
it's
and then
really
we meet
fun.
again in.
Follow the map.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
all of you were able to do that because you end up catching up partly because you run into the same obstacle. When you reach the water, and I don't want to go back to the other map for chat right now, or I'm going to mess up the windows again, so you'll have to remember that in your mind. When you after you leave Overhill, and you head to the west, it is a beautiful walking environment, as I say, just a couple of hobbits ambling by. I don't really think much of you as you pass by. And all of that is great. And Cal, everything seems to be working just fine. But Cal's probably the first one to notice as you cross a sort of gentle rise that the ford that Bilbo had positioned his path, is not quite what it was supposed to be, because the water has become much swifter and larger with recent rain. And so as you come closer, you can hear that it's sort of rushing quite a bit, and it now looks like a bit more treacherous. And as you're sort of standing, looking over the water, and everyone sort of gathers together, you can see the sunlight is sparkling off the water, but you're not just going to be able to walk across it or swim easily.
Wade across.
You will have to think about, you can possibly swim, but you'll have to think about how best to do it. And I think it is appropriate that at that obstacle, before a river, which once again has foiled the, no, I'm just kidding. Before that river, that we bring this session to a close. We will pick this up next week.
Woohoo!
What lovely, lovely stuff. And I'm sorry.
And then we will see Robar's corpse floating by.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
We'll feel like, boy, I'm glad we're not that sot. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. I will, we'll have to tell this to Tren when Tren comes back, but obviously there's a massive internet collapse here. But I hope that folks enjoyed this as much as I did. I think it's going to be wonderful chemistry with everyone. Obviously, figuring out relationships and all that kind of stuff, that's all, things that are to be discussed. But I should have mentioned, by the way, that the patron then for your adventure here is none other than Bilbo Baggins himself. So that adds 2 fellowship points. So you have a total of 7 fellowship points here that you're able to use. 4 plus 1 from the background of the person that I can't remember, plus 2 for Bilbo makes 7 fellowship points. And I will note, just sort of quickly for everyone, that when you choose a patron, or when you have a patron, you get certain benefits from it as well. The biggest thing here is that if you do the meet patron undertaking, you may remember, we can actually, it's an undertaking that you do during the fellowship phase. You raise the fellowship rating by 1 until the next fellowship phase. So right now your rating is 7. If during your next fellowship phase you go out of your way to visit Bilbo and chat him up and whatever, you get an additional fellowship point so that your max then is up at 8 instead of 7 until the next fellowship phase happens. So something to keep in mind. I really also enjoyed different aspects of this system, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of these things, some of them familiar and some of them different as well. It's going to be fun. So you should all follow Tren Sparks. Tren, of course, does Eberron on this channel and does this campaign on this channel, Shire Adventures. Is also a wonderful voice actor and narrator and is going to be narrating the Grey Shade audiobook. And you should check out all of his stuff in all of the places because Tren is really awesome. And I'm sorry that his internet collapsed, but it was awesome having him see all this stuff. Moving right along, Tari, great stuff today from Granny Lavender Hope Singer. I am excited to see how Granny manages things, and I really the relationship between Granny and Coriander is already delightful, and I am excited to see more of those kind of shenanigans as time goes on, and yeah, getting a chance to kind of see Granny picking up on stuff and being like, sort of, I love the idea that was just Coriander was like, but this, and Granny's like, no, it's on the way, and go like this, and then Coriander's just like, I'm just gonna book, like that's all I can do is run. So that was a lot of fun, and so I'm excited. How did you feel about today? I hope this lived up to a small measure of your expectations.
Oh, yes.
How did you feel about today, and where will the folks find you next?
Oh, this was delightful. Like I said, I was like very, very much looking forward to this, just like sitting on hot coals, as we say. So yeah, glad that we finally started. Great start. Looking very much forward to next session. So yeah, love this party already. Good stuff.
Yep, everyone was in a good mood in chat too. They're all like, "It's all good." It's all good.
I did not expect it to voice because
like yeah, that was very funny.
Like the polar opposite of Toddy, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, that's that. Sorry, I'm a bit tired.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
It is late. That's true. I will speed this along. Find Tari at all the things at Tari.
Oh yeah. You can find me at on Instagram and on Tumblr at Taritunes.
And thank you for the sacrifice of being willing to stay up a little later for time zones, Tari, and for all the artwork. Like really amazing artwork.
No problem, honestly.
And I hope I didn't even ask you folks. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. That
oh yes,
together
like sadly at the moment my voice, like all the sound output wasn't functioning correctly because of my Bluetooth headset, so I didn't hear the video, but like I'll check the VOD.
You'll be able to check the VOD and see that as well.
Yeah.
But thank you, Tari. Great stuff today. Brad, again, good stuff from Caloran too. I love the idea that all these things tied together. And I knew about the map thing was going to be a big part of Cal, but when you talked even more about like messenger stuff and all that, and then literally the first adventure is about going to get a map, I'm like, hell yeah, totally planned. Not at all, So I was very excited about that. And the fact that, Cal is also very curious, and I like the idea that not like everyone is equally mischievous, just that everyone's going to be super interested in some of their own things. So when you're like, oh yeah, tell me about all the news, de facto, that helps distract Titch, which lets Coriander steal the pipe, even though it's not like you built that up. You're just sort of like, hey, it's like dealing with kids, which I thought was very funny. And I'm excited to see how Cal sort of guides the way and herds these cats, so to speak. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, really fun opening. It's gonna be neat and more fun to see how everybody's different personalities mesh. With the excitable puppy and Coriander, the one holding the leash in Lavender, right? And seeing, Tren is such a different character in Titch, versus Tiny Bear. So it's fun. That's why we play role-playing games, right? To try different,
exactly
things, personalities, that kind of thing, and then different abilities too. I think the message is pretty cool. I'm gonna like that a lot. It's gonna be really neat seeing how we mesh initially, but also evolve over time. That was fun with Bolo in the previous campaign too. So that'll be neat to see.
And we'll have to work that out, by the way, Brad, about like, certain things about the messengers, since this is new to this system, I will be learning about that, so that'll be neat to see how that goes. Where will they see you next?
Yeah, so
besides
no
here.
Major plans. So I'll be back here, and then eventually in a couple months, it looks like I'll be going to Belgium for a convention there, a French-speaking Francophone convention called Trolls and Legends, and I'm hoping to see Tari there. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
That's right around the corner for me. So
So the good news is Trent is joining. The bad news is the pictures are messed up. It's okay though. We will bring Trent is back. So although I will let Amal say goodbye first because I know Amal has to get going.
Yes.
But thank you, Brad. Always a pleasure, and really looking forward to seeing how Cal gets played out today. Last but certainly not least, I feel like I'm doing triage. I'm like, capture the person who's speaking next. Okay. So Amal, wonderful stuff from Coriander. Yeah, very delightful. And it's funny coming from the River, who is, was very serious, like a young person, but takes the world very seriously and all that. Like Coriander just being this like absolute, force of nature kind of like, woo, everything is fun. And the fact that Granny has got that, sort of like understands that, as does Bilbo, of course, is going to be really fun as well, because Coriander obviously means well. It's just, sometimes things end up in pockets, and, what are you going to do about that?
I am just very, very, very excited to be a character who causes problems on purpose. A character I have literally never played. I am usually... I am frequently the face of a party and need to like smooth over other like peccadillos and stuff. And no, that's it. I've packed all the peccadillos. All the peccadillos belong to me. That is what I've decided this time. But no, I sorry, I didn't let you actually ask the questions.
No, I was just gonna ask how you felt about everything and where to find folks to play next.
I'm really excited about it. It's like I'm delighted to play this kind of character. And I love the setup of the characters that we have all together. I'm so glad that Trent is an actually patient person, because I feel like Trent is going to be the laser focus of quite a lot of Coriander's attention on like the new different person. So yeah, but no, I'm very excited for all of it. I'm excited to like unpack her relationship with Granny, which I think is very loving. I also was not expecting to do a voice. It just sort of happened. So, and I really like that. I don't do voices for characters, not being a voice actor, but this just kind of leapt into my head. So we'll see if it stays or goes. But
I like the goodbye,
yes.
Type of thing. So.
Yeah, I think that Coriander just also things will come out. Things will come out. But I would like to actually, I should probably chat with you, Greg, about like ways in which I really feel like she has a strong sense of right and wrong.
Sure.
It's just very not in keeping with rules of ownership. So I think
right.
So anyway, in fact, there were like a couple of things in the backgrounds where there were like eager and honorable were two in the same category as being proficient at deception. So it was like, that's an interesting combination of things. And
yeah.
So I'll see. There are a few things I want to still play with her sheet in terms of proficiencies, but I'm really enjoying it. I think it's delightful. I love getting to be hobbits and a man who may as well be a hobbit.
Yeah, it really is just a small man or a big hobbit, like really, in a way.
So anyway, where people can find me on my website. I have not sent a newsletter in a million years because I've been unwell, but I will be hopefully doing so this week because it is in bulk on the Thursday, and that I treat that as my own personal new year, and I really want to send a newsletter out. So if you sign up to my newsletter, amalalmahtab.com, you will hear from me shortly, and more things therein. And I must be going, but I will leave this up so you can close out with Trend without more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys. This was a delight.
And feel better. We will see you next week. Last but certainly not least, Trent, since you're here, we'll wrap with you. Same question, basically, which that I asked everybody, as I usually do.
I was going to say, I didn't hear
the same question that I typically ask about that. But I guess I did. One of the things I mentioned was just it was really delightful to see. It helps that the four of you already have a very good chemistry, but not with these characters. So you're sorting that out. But you already have the chemistry that there's sort of a lot of trust from everyone. And a lot of chat used the term delightful. And that's kind of how I felt watching it. It was like a very like uplifting, like let's have some fun type of thing, which I was really enjoying a lot while still feeling Tolkien-ish. This feels to me what we're doing right now. Lord of the Rings overall role playing is more Lord of the Rings, obviously, but this feels to me like role playing in the world of The Hobbit. Not just because of hobbits, but because of some of the mood of it. And that will shift and change. If we weren't in the Shire, it wouldn't feel as much that way. But it's just lovely to sort of see it. And I really am enjoying Titch's kind of like, what now? Like everyone was saying when you were gone, like they were like Tari was saying, is did not expecting the voice of just like it, coming from Tawny Bear to suddenly like, hi there. So that was awesome, and I'm excited to see how Titch, who's like the lowest person on the list, lowest person in the ratings and the rankings, so to speak, and yet is sort of good-natured enough maybe to go along with all this stuff. I like the idea that it wasn't just contempt. It was just sort of like, this seems like a bad idea. Not, I hate all of you, you're pieces of crap. Like that's not his character. It's sort of like, I love that. How did you feel about today's session? What were the fine folks finding?
I hated it every moment of it.
It sucked.
There were just so many 11s. It was freakish.
It was a real 11 for me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'd put it. Which in D&D, an 11 is meh. Yeah, meh. So no, it was great. It was great. I have enjoyed, seeing everybody kind of figure out, okay, so my bonuses are what, and digging through and figuring out everything. And I character creation is for me very, very important. I really enjoy character creation a lot. But I've known for weeks what Titch was going to be, and I was just waiting to roll the stats to figure out where stuff was going to go. Yeah. And
couldn't believe it. It's just like average. I'm like, are you kidding?
Right.
It's like they just handed you like here, like. Man.
And there was a point when I was about halfway through and I already had I think I had like a 14 and like 2 11s already. And I was like, hello, Lorelai.
Hello, Lorelai.
I was thinking maybe I should just go with the standard array. It would probably be better than this. I'm like, no, I'm going to ride this out and see where this goes. And we did. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this continues to play out. I loved the fact that these characters are he's just looking for reports on this damn bear. That's all. That's the only reason he came here.
That's the whole gag of the whole campaign. Like, I just wanted to find out about the bear.
And if I had still been here, I don't know where we went, after the internet crapped out here.
Oh, I should say that. You went to the water as following the path to find that the water is swollen from all the rain. And so it's not going to be easy to cross the ford. And I'll let you consider the kismet / connections with a certain group whose name might have rhymed with the Blanduats. That was a joke for Emily. The Anduinats, and they're crossing the Anduin. Anyway, you're going to have to figure out how to cross the water. That was it before we stop.
Okay, because I was imagining him, as we're, and it'll probably come up when we play next, him walking down the road once we get to the road to get over to wherever we're going, and people being like, what are they doing here? And he's just like, as everybody else is just skipping along or hobbling along or whatever they're doing, and he's just like turning to every hobbit. Have you heard about a bear? Have you heard about a bear? Because his mission is to find out about this bear.
The bear. What's the bear?
Arv, I'm hoping at some of the cutscenes as we're camping or napping or sleeping, whatever.
Right.
A bear just walks across the landscape in the distance, right? And then we wake up.
Absolutely. We got to make like a bear reference in every session. Like it's Joe. Hello bear. Hello bear. That's my last name. Oh, it's like just.
Oh yeah.
There's always some bear thing in the distance.
This is like being back in.
Oh yeah. Did you hear about those people who barely escaped those ambushes?
Exactly.
But it's like
take
in
the
Curse
bear
of Strahd.
necessities with you. Yeah.
Right.
It's berry harvesting season. Berry harvesting.
In Curse of Strahd, anytime Sod would be like, well, and I'd be like, yes, because he was saying every time somebody says bear, he's gonna
a grizzly mission we have here.
Exactly. The whole thing. Look, it's the polar opposite of what we wanted. Just poor Titch is just like this the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Liked it. Gonna be fun.
It's going to be good stuff. And I don't have to ask you where you'll be because I know you're going to be here next Tuesday with everyone else as we continue with Lord of the Rings. I will let these folks go. It's super late, particularly for Tari. So, Tari, go get some sleep. And you, yes, for other reasons. That's true. I forgot. Thank you, everybody. This was obviously a compromise on everyone's part to make sure that we could keep this group together and play, and I'm glad that everyone chose to do it. So I'm going to let the players go. Thank you to Amal Elmatar. Thank you to Brad Bollier. Thank you to Tari Tunes, and thank you to Tren. Thanks so much, everybody. Players, chat, can we get some love for the players? Players, thank you. I will see you next week. Bye-bye. And that is going to do it for us for today, folks. What a delight. It is exactly what I hoped for in terms of the tone, in terms of the feel. I just like the fact that it was a little lighter. We have plenty of, deep, thoughtful, hardcore campaigns that we play. And again, this may alter in mood over time. That's possible. But I really am glad that we had a chance to do something different. And I'm looking forward to doing this with this system. Again, I feel like they've done a really good job in capturing the feel of this region of the of Middle Earth, right? This region known as the Shire. I think they've really captured that well. And I love these characters. I just, as they were describing them to me before the event, I was just like, this is great. All right, now, so we will be back here playing next week, but I do have an announcement that I want to make to all of you right now before everybody leaves, and it's an announcement about ARVCon. So ARVCon, as you folks know, is going to be happening coming up in May. And so let me answer that. Let me answer Drew quickly, and then I want to say two things. First, Drew, this is going to be the new time for Shire Adventures, only Shire Adventures. The other Tuesdays, I'm going to continue to be going from my usual noon to 12:30-ish until about 3 to 3:30-ish, and then over on GOG.com from 4 to 4:15 to 7 to 7:15. So that's going to be the typical thing. But when we have Shire Adventures, it's going to be here from 5 to 8, and that's to accommodate work schedules. We had to do a lot of maneuvering. I thought, honestly, that we were going to lose one or two players because it wasn't going to work out, but then we figured enough of a compromise out that we could get everyone together. So that means you're going to get a chance to watch some more of it, which will be good. So a quick announcement. One of these announcements actually is based on something that I've been dealing with this a little bit over the last week, and I'm mentioning it to all of you because it ties directly into ARVCon. So first, I'm going to talk about ARVCon and the exciting announcement. I want that to be a big thing first, and then I'm going to talk about why it matters. So you folks know, as I told you, that May 25th is the Thursday, and that there's going to be a big special in-person event. And I'm happy now to announce the sort of what the event is, although I've still got a lot of things in my pocket that I haven't told you. And that is that Thursday, May 25th, in launching ARVCon, for the first time ever, ARVCon is going to have a physical in-person component. And by that I mean, on Thursday night, there will be a Dungeons and Dragons event. It will be taking place at the historic Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut. This is the same place that I did my master class last year, and I told you all how great it was and what it was cool to be on the stage. This is an 80-year-old building where Martin Luther King spoke in the Vienna Boys Choir and a bunch of other stuff. And we are going to have a D&D event in front of an in-person audience, and it's going to involve a group of players. 4 of them are players that I am bringing in. I'm not going to tell you who the players are yet. That will be announced at a later date. I know who they are already. And one of the players is going to be a high school student chosen as part of an essay contest that is going to be run for the Bridgeport Public Schools. Bridgeport Public Schools are going to basically have a series of classes, a series of schools we're going to send this to, and we're going to take the essays back about what they love about role-playing or why they love role-playing in D&D and what they'd like to be involved with. And they are going to be, one of them is going to be chosen to join the 4 pro players, if you will, on stage. So we're going to have 5 players. They are going to be playing an adventure, which I will announce later as well. And it's going to be, what? Yes, your school is included. So I'm very excited about this. This is a big deal. It is being supported through a grant by the Klein. We are going to hopefully be building up sponsors as well. We already have some possible sponsorships lined up, and we'll have more that'll be coming out. And we will have our usually big extravaganza the rest of Memorial Day weekend. But it is going to be launched with this in-person, on stage in front of an audience event. Also, it will be streamed. So fear not, it will be streamed on my channel and also will be streamed by the Klein. They have multiple cameras and multiple, stuff that they'll be doing. They're going to have, everyone's going to be mic'd up. They will have the big projector in the background with the map and the whole bit. So it's really, really cool. I'm really glad to be able to do it. I'm really glad to be able to have this be the next step. It means that it's extending ARFCon longer than it's ever been, from Thursday, through possibly Monday, but either way. But it's all, of course, to benefit the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. And this is the other thing that I wanted to mention. And hang on a second. Awesome. It sounds amazing. Awesome, Optic. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So, the second thing I want to talk about is a more serious topic, and it's the reason why we do this in the first place. Have not had a chance to announce this or mention it before. The person who is my oldest friend, who was the best man at my wedding, and I was the best man at his wedding, a guy named Ewan Ross, passed away last week at the age of 50 as a result of a rare cancer. And tomorrow I am going to be delivering a remembrance in his honor at the funeral. I'm going to be driving up tomorrow. It's happening in northern Connecticut for the funeral. I mention this to all of you because this is why ultimately we do this event. We do it to have a lot of fun. We do it to enjoy spending time with each other, but we also do it because of what this thing can do. This is someone who was my age, and I had known him for over 40 years. So we had a long history, and that has been tough. It's been tough to sort of deal with it, and unfortunately, it was, he fought this battle for 3 years, and finally, unfortunately, he passed away, leaving behind a wife and 2 children and all that. This is what happens oftentimes too much. And I bring this up not to bring down the mood. I bring it up to mention why what we do matters. This is something. He also played Dungeons and Dragons with me. He also loved fantasy fiction, and he in fact was a beta reader for my first novel, and in fact produced the first bound copy that he gave me as kind of like a wedding, his wedding gift for me as the best man, was a copy of the first time I had ever seen it in print, because they got married the year after we did in 2004, after my wife and I did, and he made the first ever bound copy that he had artisans bind this thing of the Third Sign in my first novel. So it's tough. And, also he was 50. He was not, he was fairly young, and he was in good shape and all that. So we do what we do to celebrate the survivors, people like Dot, who survived cancer, and people whose lives have been immeasurably improved because they were able to live much better for longer with cancer, and many who were able to cure it completely. And a lot of that is due to the research and the work that gets done by people like Damon Runyon. So it is, this is why we do it. And I am going to dedicate ARFCon this year, and I hope people understand why, to his memory. And I'm going to dedicate, I may even dedicate, I'll have to talk to Emily about this, but I may even dedicate Renegade possibly to him. Either that or Heretic, the book that comes out next year, to him. Because again, he was we didn't talk every day or every week. We were often busy with our own lives, but we were always in contact one way or the other. And it was a long presence. We were roommates for a time. And, again, I'd known him since 3rd grade, so a long time. And so I am going to dedicate ARFCon to his memory this year, and I hope that this will be something that will bring us together again in showing how we can, even in the face of tragedy, do something to come together and to rise above it and to hopefully make it so that others will not face something similar. So, I've written up I've written the remembrance. It's finished. I imagine I will deliver it as best I can, but I'm sure it will not be easy. And yeah, thanks, Drew. I'm sure it will not be easy, but it's again, it is why we do what we do. And I'm not trying to kill the mood. I just wanted to sort of make clear why we're doing this stuff is for things of this nature. So Ewan Alexander Ross was his name. He was his father was English, his mother was Scottish. And sorry, the other way around. Mother was English, father was Scottish. I beg your pardon. Mother is still alive, and so yeah. Well, I killed it. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I killed it in a different cause. Yes, I suppose that's the way to put it. So, yeah. So I hope that folks will be available for ArvCon to hang out with us and to have fun with us, and to come together in positive spirit. But I'll admit my heart has been a little heavy over the last few days, and will be heavy a little bit over the next couple of days too, thinking about it. And I just, when this whole thing came together with the Klein, I met with the executive director earlier this morning about some details of it, and I was thinking about how glad I am that we can do something like this for this purpose, in the face of things like this. And so, yeah. So I hope all of you, hold people that you care about, and, are gentle with each other and caring for each other, and also have not just grief and sadness, but also hope and inspiration that can come from an event of this kind. Thank you, Tilted. Appreciate it. That is going to be that for me. And I'm going to see you folks back here on Friday with Inkle's Sorcery. If you liked what you saw and heard, I hope you will follow the channel. I hope you will check out the YouTube, which is, of course, !ArvTube, Discord, !ArvCord, Twitter, !ArvTweets, website, arvanelaron.com, financially, !ArvShop for the merchandise area, !ArvTrayon for the Patreon, and of course, subscribing to the channel really helps as well. Please consider as well supporting us on the publishing side, !Icarus for my graphic novel, !Library, Tales and Tomes, The Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and source book, Icarus, of course, from Athos Arts, the adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and, of course, Greyshade, which came out last year, and that, too, is going to be available at that link in addition to Renegade, which comes out later this year, Heretic, which comes out next year, and, of course, the Greyshade tabletop role-playing game coming out later this year from Brandon O'Brien, and, of course, the amazing audiobook of Greyshade, which will be done by Tren as well. So that's going to be the deal. You have a VOD to watch this weekend. What? Yeah. So that's the deal with that. I want to thank everyone who made this. And always, as always, got to remember this. !BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. !Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war. And this is our chance to do this in a small way with bravery and with courage. I want to thank all the amazing mods today and viewers. Thank you to Arudinel, to Dragonspear, to Drew, to Emily, to Hillness, to Prince Justin, the Rising Tides, and to Triffity Metz. Special thanks today as well to Hillness. Special thanks as well to Dragonspear. Special thanks as well to Shadowed Mage for all the gift subs, you all. I think we got like 25 gift subs, which is just wild. Thank you so much for that support. And happy birthday, of course, to Dragonspear. Again, happy birthday, sir. I hope it is a good one, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you as well to my Patreon supporters and subscribers, Rudinel Dragonspear, Drew, Emily, Hillness, Prince Justin, Rising Tides, Triffid, Tilted, Mrs. Dunsel, and Tren. And thank you to my wonderful viewers, to Zero One Ella, to Amidu, thank you to Brad Bollier, to Butthurt Gamer, to Darksteel Spork, to Fanes of Bakawa, thank you to Gaia Shield, to Jagtress, thank you to Karufish, to Gata, Kooky Canuck, Shock, Optic Nerve, Total Control, and Valentina Alcaraz. Thank you so much, everybody. And a special thanks today to Free League Publishing for sponsoring us. Thank you so much, Free League, for that sponsorship. And I hope this shows why the sponsorship mattered. I hope that we did you proud, and we will continue to do proud by this wonderful Lord of the Rings role-playing 5e system and by Shire Adventures. So thank you to Free League. And thank you as well, as always, to my amazing players. Thank you to Amal. Thank you to Brad. Thank you to Tari as well for all the art. And thank you to my friend Trent Sparks for wonderful work as well with Titch Applebow. That's it for me. I'll see you folks Friday night for some Inkle Sorcery 4. Until then, truly, everybody, be good to each other. And I'll catch you all soon. Bye for now.